I just stay here with you. She said, I've got something more than love. Won't you come with me so we can try it from above? Left to go and no place to hide. Well, I tried so many times, but I will try this one more time. She said, I've got something to tell you. See all of the colors flow, see what they can do. She said, I've got something more than love. Won't you come with me so we can try it from above? So much. We got the lovely and talented and good friend of the band, Jim Fannin.
Ooh. All right, Stereo Sunrise. Thanks for coming out, guys. Watching the Jim Fannin Show. Give it up for those guys. And we have a stream online, at live stream, little Facebook Live going on a little bit here. Thanks to Chris Curry. He's the owner and operator here at Sessions on the River. And I should remember to get right up on the microphone as I tell my guests to come up as well. So, we started a little series. I've been off there for a couple years. Started this little series up last month. Had a few friends of mine, actually, the former commissioner of the Ontario Environment, Gord Miller, was here, Greg Vesna, and the leader of the Green Party of Ontario. As I turn my mic down, turn your phone down. There we go. We brought 21 bands out. We went on the hour. It was very cool. I've developed a really good relationship with a lot of local music in town here, and this is our greatest natural resource, human capital, our musical talent. So we've been off the air for a little while. Everyone still thinks I'm on the air, and they say, oh, how's the radio show going? I'm like, yeah, I got fired 2 years ago. But I've been around. I've been doing some real estate. I've been doing some... It seems like every election that comes in, I decide to run for it. I ran for mayor a couple years ago, and then last year we did the federal campaign under the Green Party banner. I've been running under the Green Party banner since 1993. So a little bit about me, and then we'll get to our guests. So we did a kind of a higher level show last month. We talked regional politics. We talked PSWs. We talk provincial and federal politics. I see a higher tier of subjects. And this time around, I want to do all municipal, regional, closer to home, because I think that's the most important place that you can sit as an elected official. And so, thank you. I had to build a list. I built the email list, so now I can contact you guys with one click. 125 elected officials and 12 clerks, I think, comes out to something. I don't know. My list is 140. I don't know how I got there. Maybe somebody's on there twice. Thank you to the people that did respond with declining. I know it's busy. I didn't give you a whole lot of notice. And thank you for the people that showed up. We'll get to them in a minute. But I want to call it the ones that said they were coming and didn't come. Mike Britton, Sandy Annunziati, you putzes, you elected pieces of officials. Anyway, so no thanks to you guys. Absolutely no props to Sandy A. Unless you're on the road right now. Get your fat ass down here, you football playing piece of work. And Mike Britton, the hell, man. You gave me a commitment. So, Rob Forster's here. Foster. I should get my guest name. It says Forster here, man. I took the wrong notes. Foster is here. He's the deputy mayor for Lincoln, elected councillor in Lincoln. So we can talk some local issues there, but mostly we're going to talk about, I don't know, regional stuff, how the province just shoved down elected chair down our throat. They don't even kiss before they give us penetration. So we bend over, they say how hard, and then we just take it. So, yeah, lots of fun. So we're going to talk a little bit of regional politics, municipal politics. Our breaks will be covered by these studs here. Local band, got a lot of time for, fell in love with your last EP. It's too short. 5 songs is not enough for me to fall in love with, and now it's out of my deck. I need some new songs from you guys. Stereo Sunrise is in the house. You guys, we'll have a short session with you guys at the end of this. We're going to broadcast live till 6 o'clock. And then, Chris, are we bringing them up at 6:30? We're taking a break. They're going live at 6:30 for an hour? Or I can't remember. The links are on live stream. So after we're done the show at 6 o'clock, we're coming back with Stereo Sunrise, and they will play a full set. And then we'll have a 15-minute interview with them as well. So Gary Burroughs is in the house. Thank you very much, Gary, for coming out. Gary is a longtime elected regional official, was the Lord Mayor in Niagara Lake for a long time, now sits as the Niagara Lake's regional official at the region. So Gary Burroughs is going to come up in a second, and Selina Volpatti. So thanks to you guys that have 140 email. We actually got a couple people actually made it out here today. It's not the greatest day. 40 is not the end of the earth. I mean, in Toronto, you don't get anywhere in 25 minutes. All this, you get across the region in 25 minutes. So I do appreciate you guys coming out. So Stereo Sunrise is our musical sponsor today. And so I did this out of we're certainly not making any money at this. Thanks for Chris Curry for picking up the fees for actually doing this right here. But some of you guys I might be hitting up later. If there is, support from the community, I think this is something that we can continue with. And I think it's most important that we get these local bands some airtime, and not only give them some airtime in a recording studio with a liquor license. Let me buy you guys a drink. You can get them in here, do some new music. So I think it's so important. Yeah, people don't care that much about our shitty political takes. I mean, yours more than mine, probably because you're elected. Maybe mine more so. I don't know. It depends who you're talking to. But I think that we can make progress with a good, honest conversation that's constructive and not, attacking the person, but the issues. So I saw a role for myself. There's not a lot of people talking about the issues that I want to talk about in today's media, where I'm from, in Niagara. So I'm hoping to fill a gap. So if there is a hunger for that gap to be filled in Niagara, we'll continue it. And so, yeah, I might be knocking on your doors for the people that have come out and supported us before. So with all that said, we'll bring Gary Burroughs up next. Thank you very much. Gary Burroughs is, anyway you want to get here. Gary? Yeah, sure. Gary thought it was a radio show, so he didn't check the closet before he left.
Oh, yeah.
So, Gary, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Don't mind getting right up on that mic there. We'll adjust it for you if you need it. First of all, thank you for coming on. Former regional chair. We talked a little bit about politics back in the day. I talked to one of the elected regional councillors. Well, he wasn't actually elected. Kelly Edgar, who took Alan Castlin's place when Alan Castlin was appointed by the council as chair. Man, is that when Walter tried to slide through the first attempt at double direct? He didn't want the next guy coming up, because why? Have we figured out, forget Walter, whether he's a liberal or conservative, we haven't figured that out, but it seemed the resistance to have, and I'm the Democrat, I'm the Green Party guy. I'm the guy that says, no, the next guy in line, we don't need a by-election again. We just had an election. We've done this before. You don't go to the community and just appoint someone. Hey, remember, we're scared that was going to happen, that somebody that didn't even run was going to get appointed. Kelly said to me, I said to him, I interviewed him on the phone. I recorded the conversation. We're not going to play that, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But I said, "Do you have anything else to say?" And he said, "Like, what have you learned now that you're at the big, at the big table?" He says, "Well, I can't believe how partisan politics, has come into play both municipally and regionally. Hey, I know the developers are in the pocket of the odd politician here and there. I know that, palms get greased. I don't know. I've never seen it exactly." But it stands to we have these claims all the way up. We're going to talk about the AMO. I throw some hope into that. But the OMB, who sits on these boards? There's no city councilors. There's all developers. And anyway, I'm rambling.
You are. I'm enjoying it.
Jeez, we got 3 hours to fill. I got to keep going. Only 10 minutes in. His remark was, it's really handcuffed us, and I can't understand how we get past the partisan politics of it's liberals. And we talked about you were kind of associated with that liberal regime of the, the McMullen, Zimmerman, Burroughs, and a couple staff members that are gone since your regime was in there too. Now it's all blue. We got Caslin. Hey, that's what got me blocked from Caslin's Facebook account. This is my favorite thing, right? Getting blocked by them, the next mayor or whoever, right? So why is it when Jimmy Fannin says, well, we all know Caslin's going to be the chair, it's no freaking secret, but when I say it on Twitter, that's enough to get you blocked. So it's no secret. Everyone knows, because the Dykstra slate came in. Everyone that Rick supported, one guy, missed. Everyone else got elected. So now we've seen the tide turn. Now we have a blue guy at the head of the table. And I was really surprised to hear Kelly, a newbie, a new fight, for the most part, never elected before, I think he's run before, say, I'm disappointed by that. Now, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but now the government, the Ontario government, who is God, did we hear, tells us that we have to have an elected chair. And I see a whole bunch of politicians going out there and saying, oh, yeah, democracy, elected chair. And these are the same fucking people that are saying government's too big. Elections are too big. They're too expensive. So now you're going to create a whole new space of election with a whole new budget instead of, there's a little bit of backroom dealings. I'm sure that, you don't just become chair without lobbying for it, without running and getting support. I don't know anything about that. I just know that I think I prefer it. I prefer to let my elected politicians figure out who's going to be the deal maker, who's going to be the glue that brings them together. Because if you don't have an effective chair, and I considered you effective, sometimes not so much. You lose control sometimes, right? I mean, you can't. I don't know how you keep these guys in line, especially when there's guys like, Andy Petrowski did decline, but he was supposed to be on my monologue. Anyways, Gary Burroughs. Talk to me a little bit about how you see the colors, the partisanship, and a little bit about this elected chair business and what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm glad to get the opportunity to speak. I wasn't sure whether this whole thing was going to be you. But I think politics, certainly locally, being municipal and regional, has changed. I've been in it now 15 years, and it really, I'm sure your friends help you get elected, but it was never partisan to that extent. Certainly in my campaign, I had, in my mayor campaigns, I had strong conservatives and liberals trying to get me elected as mayor, so that didn't happen. It did start to happen when I ran for regional chair, because the people that I respected, that I had worked with, happened to be liberal.
So how do you run for chair? First you get elected.
Well, first you get elected, and then what I did, and I'm sure this doesn't happen anymore, I'm just telling you how I did it. I got my list, and of all 30 councillors, and went and phoned everyone, met the ones I could meet for coffee, and went over what I intended to do, and asked for their support. Some of them were very supportive in the meetings, but not so much when it came to the voting. So I learned a lot.
I've been there for it.
Yeah. But
so like a little bit less cheering,
partisan politics has got. It became local, being municipal in the last election in many of the municipalities of our 12. There was a concerted effort to get certain people in that would be useful down the road. And certainly as we now move to an elected chair, that position is almost going to be untenable for, I was going to say 99, but it's 99.9% of the people of the region, because it's a vast area. We are different than the other regions, the other two that have it, because we have 12 municipalities, and we're all pretty independent, and we like it that way. Even I come from Niagara-on-the-Lake, and even in Niagara-on-the-Lake, we have 5 communities, and not one of them want to live in another part of their own community. So that's a pride that I think is so strong in Niagara, and I think it's a great thing. So to try and go out and harness, to go around, I would assume the budget, when it's calculated based on the population, will be well over $500,000. And I would suggest that it's very unlikely. I know what I spent to get elected chair, zero, because I was working with 30 people that I knew that had been elected, newly elected as well. But it wasn't a matter of traveling, signage. There was no signage. It was just locally done at the region. So I think there's some negatives. People believe that they should have the right to vote, and I understand that right. But they've had the right to vote for their representative, first of all, and then trust the person that they've elected to actually pick the right person,
appoint or elect within their own chair. And
right.
So they're elected either way. I guess in similar fashion, the mayors are appointed to the region in a similar way. They're not elected to the region.
No.
They're elected as mayors.
That's correct.
And so there's many that would say, and there's not another region that does this, dual direct, double duty, whatever you want to call it, or at large, or wards, or whatever, that has a regional council without mayors.
Right.
But from what I understand, having the mayors isn't doing us any good there as much, from the standpoint that you are very taking care of your own backyard.
Well,
and
you know, I know I've heard that the comment you're making many times. I was the mayor in Niagara-on-the-Lake for 10 years, and I honestly believe that I took knowledge from Niagara-on-the-Lake to share with the regional councillors. Not to, well, a community as small as ours wouldn't have the power to sway anybody else anyway, but at least I had the knowledge of what was going on locally to take it to the regional level. So I don't believe that there was, I thought I was useful on regional council at that time.
Right. Now, we talked about it, just getting shoved down our throat from God to the province.
That I don't like.
Right, and I will give it to Walter. I'd like to give it to Walter, but I will give Walter props from the standpoint that I love it. Yeah, it's true. He's never been here before, have you? The slipperiness of trying to slip in dual direct there, because it's taken some sovereignty back from the province. I love the fact that, despite the fact that he didn't do the democratic thing and say, yes, we support Kelly Edgar, let's try and shove Matt Harris through. Oh, come on. Did that really happen? I just read the whole article. I'm like, oh, wow, they did try and slip in Matt. That's not. But I will give him props from the standpoint that is taking a little bit of control back from the province. I think we need to do that as much as possible wherever we can, because distant governments don't know what's good for Niagara-on-the-Lake, don't know what's good for Lincoln, for Waynfleet. Distant governments in Ottawa, at Queen's Park, or at the region. The region is becoming a distant government. And so I'm a decentralization kind of guy. I think that the people closest to the problem should have the power through legislation and the resources, in other words, the funds, the money, to remedy that problem regionally or municipally. Because when the province starts telling us how to spray pesticides or not, or have bands play past 11 o'clock, it never ends up good. So I'm a decentralization guy. If I had it my way, and you may have heard this through many of my campaigns that I've run, I dissolve the region as a governance body and make them a service provider. They can buy in bulk. They can manage our waste contracts, negotiate water, wastewater. We've got some, maybe they want to take on fire. Oh, the police is a whole $500 million for the police budget. Seriously, it's $500 million, 4 cents of every. Wow. So we could do some things differently there. I'm not sure. This whole double direct thing concerns me a whole great deal, and I'm glad it was referred or deferred or whatever you call that, because I don't see how it makes my life better. These same politicians that are screaming for more democracy, that want to see an elected chair, say that, oh, we can make it better this way. But, I'm not sure. And thanks to George Dart, now we've got I hope we have a proper public debate where city and regional officials can go to and fro. And I'm not sure this is realistic for George. I'm glad they deferred it, though, to accommodate this. But please, Walter, don't go on the radio and call George ignorant. And he doesn't confuse, he doesn't understand. 10 times inside of 10 minutes, he insulted this man. And that's what you get in the region if you disagree with this guy. Okay? I've experienced firsthand.
Luckily, you're not asking for comment, so I'm glad about that.
So, and he declined to come on the show, and that's fine. I got no time for that in politics. When you sit at the region, I want you to do what's best for the region. I don't want you to be myopic from the standpoint that you get the short-term vision. So props to him for trying to slip it through. I'm not sure how it makes my life better, and I think it's the thin edge of the one Niagara wedge, which I don't think you're in support of, and we'll talk to Selina and Rob later about that. The one Niagara wedge pisses me off because, first, the triple majority is never going to fly for a one Niagara, because the Niagara Lakes and the Waynfleets and the Fort Erie's, I don't know what type of sales job that takes to get them to say, oh, yeah, and we'll get our councils to say that too. So I don't want to spend 2 terms talking about governance issues that will never pass a triple majority. And now we're seeing it with double direct. So as we waste time with our homeless, with a transit system that's failing our Niagara residents, taxes going through the roof, one of your pet peeves. Everyone's got their pet peeve. But as we fritter away with the issues that really matter, we got these clowns bringing us double direct, and that it'll be the one Niagara conversation right along after that. But
one of the things about the deferral last Thursday, and I voted for the deferral, I'm not sure that was the right move. I think if we'd had the vote, it may have been no. And after all, the provinces already told us that in 2018, they don't need to get permission nor a triple majority. They can just decide on their own at the local level how they're going to elect their own representatives to regional council.
That's something I didn't know. That was in part of the package that came in with the directly elected chair. That's still going to pass the AMO, no? Or is the province got on that? The municipal area, the AMO still got a rubber stamp? No? Provincial changes come down. That's
AMO's a fabulous organization, but it's primarily advising and advocating for certain positions. They don't need, and there is an agreement between AMO and the province that they won't do what they just did. They won't have this direction with the chair, for example, without going to AMO and saying, we're about to do this. That didn't happen, my understanding, and I'm sure it didn't happen. That isn't part of, but that's their role, advocacy and really useful debate. When we were dealing with the police and all of that, AMO played a huge role in that. We didn't get anywhere, but played a huge role.
Now, tell me, which way did you vote on the CEO? Were you a yes on D'Angelo for CEO?
Was that a poll vote?
Yeah, that was recorded vote.
Was I there? No, I wasn't there.
Okay, so
it would have been no.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess there's really no take we can go down that road on, because I mean,
he's the man.
He is the man.
Yeah.
For now.
Absolutely. No,
for now.
That's right.
I'm Jim Fannin. We're live on Sessions on the River. Stereo Sunrise is our guest today. Gary Burroughs is my first victim on the stage as far as the interview goes. Thank you, Gary. We'll get back to you in a little bit. Stereo Sunrise is going to play the commercials for us instead of me going out and hustling sponsors. I pick up bars and bands late at night. I get drunk and I go pick up bands and handsome boys and all that kind of stuff. And as I pop my P's and bounce my B's off my microphone, Selina Volpatti is going to come up as well. Rob Foster. Is it misspelled on your website? Because I think I cut and paste. Gary Burroughs is in the house. Tommy is locked in the booth. Chris Curry is also associated with a bad man. You know there's another bad man called Chris Curry in Niagara? You probably know that already. Chris Curry's owner of Sessions on the River. I'm Jim Fannin. Stereo Sunrise is going to play a couple ditties for us. We're going to come back with Selina Volpatti and Rob Foster. I'm Jim Fannin. We're live from Sessions on the River. Stereo Sunrise. Take it away.
Thanks very much.
Don't have to stop. Going right goes when a day's work is done. Gone way too far. Go making a mess with that soul. Don't go messing around you with that soul. All the hate you breed down in those wells. All the hate you breed down inside yourselves. Whoa. Don't go making a mess with that soul. Don't go messing around with that soul. One day, if you go there and take more than you can bear, don't go making a mess with that soul. Don't go messing around you with that soul. You fell in love with embers and you fanned them into flames. You couldn't take more of it, so you tossed it in the drain. One day, if you go there and take more than you can bear, because you don't have to stop. Going right goes when a day's work is done. And you've gone way too far. Don't go making a mess with that soul. Don't go messing around you with that soul. Don't go messing. Don't go. sad soul. Thank you. Smoking up a Sunday afternoon, drinking all the coffee and the days go by, hoping that this letter's from you. Take me up and dare me out and I know fine, but I don't wave goodbye. Help yourself to something for free, but I don't own a thing 'cause I ain't got money. Toes in all the sand but you won't. Change your mind about it, say no matter what. Open up your head, it's a mess. You think because you're clever, well you're quite misread. Well, don't it always seem to take so long? Keeping all the letters you sent, and to me, oh, because you don't like what I've got to say no more. Naked as a feather when I left, I put on all my clothes and then I'll come back home. Don't you know it's lit in the nose, but clean me up and turn me out and now I know. Feeling just a little despair. You think because you're clever, well I'm almost there. But don't it always seem to take so long? Keeping all the letters you send to me, oh, 'cause you don't like what I've got to say no more. You built it up, it comes back down. You're left here with some doubt, and the days go by, and the days go by, and the days go by, and the days go by. Don't it always seem to take so long? Keeping all the letters you send to me, oh, 'cause you don't like what I've got to say no more. You come back up, it comes back down. Left here with some doubts, and the days go by, and the days go by, and the days go by, and the days go by. Thank you so much.
There we go. Chris Curry running the board. We're live from Sessions on the River today. I'll feed you guys some Chinese food too from down the street. You know we got great Chinese in Fort Erie, eh? Chris is ordering, so we'll figure out. He knows where it's at. I'm Jim Fannin. Today is the second show that we've decided to do from Session on the River. We're always going to be featuring our local artists and our local politicians. Selina Volpatti is my next guest. It's going to come up. Selina, thanks for the time. I know it's not a great drive-in today on the QEW.
It wasn't pretty.
No, let's see if we can just get you a better spot here. I'm going to put you right here.
Thank you.
Just a little bit over there, so not so much the back of my head.
Thank you for having me.
I've never had you on the show before.
No, you're
one of
haven't.
the politicians
I don't know why that
now,
is.
I know you better than you know me, probably, because I watch you on TV all the time.
Oh, that's a real treat, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
and I got a lot of time for a woman with a good handshake and power. And
There you go.
You've been a force of the region. You've been around, what, is this second term?
Second term.
So I don't want to say a long time, but you're no rookie anymore.
No, I'm not a rookie. Do I look like a rookie?
No,
Oh,
no.
good.
You and you know the issues. You don't look at like a rookie at the board table either. So I appreciate that. Thanks for coming out today. So we talked a little bit off air. Talked a little bit about, as you refer to, God. Not so sure about that, but the province coming down, saying we're going to have an elected chair. That was unexpected, I think.
Truly unexpected.
And I always think that the province is going to come down with something unexpected, like term limits, like whatever. And as much as the Municipal Act needs an update, I don't like it when a higher level of government tells me what I can do in my own backyard. And so Gary and I talked about decentralization.
It's dictatorial.
Right. Now, what's your take on elected chair? I don't know that it's even a conversation that's worth having now if it's just going to be rammed down our throat. But
Well, I think it'll be part of an omnibus bill, and we won't have any input whatsoever.
Right.
However, what I'd like to say is the Americans don't elect their president by popular vote, as we've just seen. The Electoral College elects him.
Right.
Our Prime Minister is not elected by popular vote, and I don't see any reason why the regional chair should be elected by popular vote.
Well, and it creates a disconnect, I think, too, because it's going to be a huge campaign, a lot of money involved. And then I don't see how a chair comes from any other region other than the big three, Niagara Falls, Welland, and St. Catharines, or someone that's got enough money.
Very difficult. Very difficult, for sure.
And so you either need somebody that's very well known and connected, or somebody that's got a lot of money, or that can raise a lot of money. And I'm not sure that is really what we need. I'm okay with the status quo. As much as I'm not a status quo guy, I think having these conversations about governance, about double duty, whatever we call it, about elected chairs, about a one Niagara, is such a waste of time as people go hungry, as people go homeless, as our jobs
we have no
flood
housing.
in the area. You sit on the housing board. You also sit on the Burgoyne Bridge.
I do.
Task force, is it? Is that?
Yes, I'm the chair.
Okay, so we can speak to those knowledgeably.
But let me speak first to what you just suggested. As Bob Gale says, and I work very well with Bob at the region, he's from Niagara Falls as well, and I represent Niagara Falls. As he says, he'll spend $500,000, he'll be elected chair every time.
Wow. I love Bob Gale.
So do I.
You know what? And
he's
don't know
right
Bob
on the money.
I don't know Bob that well, but when he went and blew up the NPC, NPC?
Niagara Parks.
Yeah, NPC. Got the NPCA, NPC, NPR, I had a lot of time for that. The old boys network has never worked for me. Maybe because I'm not in it. I don't know. Maybe it's a really comfy gig if you're there, but I've never been that guy. So it's easy for me to hate on it. But I had a lot of time for that. And also, he took my call before he was elected. And he met with me at Tim Hortons. And we talked for about an hour, and just as real as it gets. There's no bullshit about Bob.
Nope.
And you really know where he stands, and he had no bones saying, you know what, this guy screwed me, and, it's just, it's just he was so real. He was, easy to like as a guy's guy. And, I don't agree with everything he's done since he was elected, but I can't say that for anyone that's up there.
No, exactly.
But I think he's done a good job for his rookie campaign, but that's a great quote from someone that shows how we could be stuck with not stuck, but stuck with a guy that's got the money to run. Now, I know in other parts of the world, Ontario, sometimes they appoint a chair that didn't run or was a failed mayoral candidate. I can't remember where it is, in Waterloo or something like that. A failed mayoral candidate has been chair for 2 decades.
Right.
He was just a great guy for the job. So.
Right. And that could have happened in Niagara before 2010. However, in 2010, we changed that rule, so you have to be an elected member of council to be considered for chair.
Which
so
I'm good
we've
with.
taken care of that. But I want to argue with you about something, and that is, it is not political at the regional council. It certainly isn't. It was political. It was all liberal before. But now we have a change and nobody likes it. But let me tell you this. I make no secret of the fact I'm a liberal. Have been for years. Ran against Bart Maves in 1999. Lost by less than 1,000 votes. Right. In 2010, I nominated Bart as the chair against Gary Burroughs. Gary is a liberal. Bart is a conservative. I'm a liberal. That means nothing to me at that level of government. So I just wanted to set you straight on that.
And I appreciate that. And, I think that's coming maybe from a frustrated junior councillor or something that's, and I said to him, hey, what did you learn? And he says, well, what I learned, and maybe that's just his shot at the establishment. I'm not sure. But again, he's newly elected, and that's just his take. And I can't really speak for him other than, I spoke to him this week because he was on the local radio station.
Easy to take shots at people. Really easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Selina Volpatti's my guest. I'm Jim Fannin. We're going live from Sessions on the River. Rob Foster's up next. We're going to talk some local politics. Stereo Sunrise is taking us in and out of what would normally be the commercial break. Where are you going? You're not going anywhere? Oh. No, I'm not done with you yet. Selina Volpatti is our Niagara Falls. No. I got lots of time. So we talked about the One Niagara Wedge. I see that coming in as the dual duty. I'm glad that you guys deferred. You were there for that meeting.
And I agreed to defer.
What's up with Chair Caslin and Petrowski going at it? I wish I could load that video, the Kojiko video.
Well, yeah, and they both should be fun.
Andy's got the drop on him because Andy knows the process. He's challenging. He's calling for amendments and trying to get things reconsidered. And the chair's head's spinning around like this. He's like, thank God for the clerk. And then, Maeve stood up and corrected him once. I think Augustine stood up and point of order, Chair.
Thank God for the clerk, I always say.
Yeah. Well, the staff with the institutional memory is very helpful, especially when it comes to process and Robert's Rules of Order, because what do we know? Spend our time out there trying to get reelected. I say we. I've never been elected to a damn thing in my life.
There you go, Jim. But you may be someday, so remember all of these things when you
Heaven forbid. The dual direct. Did you vote for a deferral on that one?
I voted for deferral. I'll tell you my opinion of dual direct. Mm-hmm. I dual direct all the time. I go to every Niagara Falls City Council meeting. But I don't get paid extra for it. I don't expect it. It's part of my job as a regional councillor to be present in my own community to find out how the council is thinking.
That makes sense, but is that a widely held belief or practice?
I don't care. It's my belief. Mm-hmm. I mean, the rest can do what they want to do, but as far as I'm concerned, when I have to make a decision at regional council, I want to know how my own community is thinking about it, because you know what? They're the ones that elect me. The rest of the region doesn't elect me. That doesn't mean to say that I vote on behalf of Niagara Falls all the time, or that I don't vote against my own council in Niagara Falls when the occasion arises, and I think I should. But I'm double duty all the time.
Your oath is to the region.
My oath is to the region. My promise is to the electors of Niagara Falls. Right. So I have a double, it's dual duty.
So do you see how there could be more conflict with a duly elected councillor that represents both the city and the region? There's got to be some times when those two issues are at odds with each other. What do you vote for when you take an oath as a regional councillor to do what's best for the region and not the city, even though you're accountable to those people that elected you there, and then at city council you're obviously elected to do what's right for, in that case, your ward, because we don't...
Niagara Falls is my ward.
We're in wards municipally, and then so the dual duty goes back to a ward system, so then you start us and them in it again.
So common sense prevails.
There is no common sense in politics.
Well, I'm from Cape Breton. I have a lot of that good
down
stuff.
Homer. Didn't know that. Can we get a double scotch to the stage right away, please?
Yeah, that would do it.
So what's the other stuff? Not the swish. What do you drink down home?
Shriek.
That's it.
That's the shriek.
Yeah, double shot of that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm Jim Fannin. Selina Volpatti's my guest. She's elected by Niagara Falls to sit at the region as her seat. We're talking about some regional issues. Rob Foster's up next. He's the deputy mayor for Lincoln and an elected councillor as well. So thank you for coming out today. We talked about the chair. We talked about the double direct a little bit. Do you see any benefit of the double direct?
Well, we've had 12 of them for 45 years.
Right.
I don't know how that's worked out. I'll let other people make their opinions as to that, because we've had a long experience with it. Is it necessary? Is it beneficial? People should have the right to vote on that, I think.
Right. Now, talking about voting, we talked about the chair with Gary a little bit. He slipped my question because he wasn't present for that vote for Henry D'Angelo being the CAO.
No.
What was your take on that?
No, got the wrong name. Carmen D'Angelo.
Henry.
We have
Carmen
Henry D'Angelo, who's a regional councillor from Welland.
Thank you for clearing
Carmen
that up.
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
You have to get this Italian straightened out, Jim.
They're both Italian. Yeah, well, how did you fall on that debate?
Ma, come va?
Because I got some
I mean,
Italian.
I'm an Italian from Cape Breton, so you got to remember
I got some Italian, but even I can't say that on the web. Your take on that vote? How did that all go down?
Voted that we had a great committee. They went through a long process, cost us $45,000 approximately to hire one of the best firms in Canada to do the search. It was Canada-wide. The committee made a unanimous recommendation to council that Carmen D'Angelo should be our CAO, and I wholeheartedly agreed.
Now, did you have the 45-page report that was circulated prior to that vote that said that he did a survey for the NRP?
You mean on the NPCA thing?
Well, no, he did. His firm did a survey for the Niagara Regional Police.
So what?
Well,
so what does that mean to you?
Because you're not supposed to be allowed to profit from a board position.
Wait a minute. He wasn't on the police board.
No, he wasn't.
No.
But
and they had been sole
police board is
sourcing
a
that
function of the
contract
regional
for that
government.
survey for 5 years. So they sole sourced it again. Why wouldn't they?
Wow. Well, I don't know. Because
Well, you see, you don't have all the information, do you, Jim?
Well, I've got enough information, and I don't think that you should be able to take a contract while you sit on a board that pays pretty much. I mean, it is a function of the region, right?
What is a function of the region?
The police board. It's funded by the region. He's got ties.
Correct.
He sits on a regional board.
He doesn't. Sorry, the NPCA is not a regional board. It's a
funded by the region. You don't see any conflict there
it's
at all.
levied by the region. It's not funded by the region. There's a whole difference between the Niagara Regional Police,
Right.
Niagara Regional Housing, and the NPCA. The NPCA is more like the Niagara Parks Commission.
Right.
Okay? Except they tell us how much money they need. We levy it for them. We have no authority over the NPCA.
Got it. So even his arrival at the NPCA, I mean, wasn't that kind of questionable as well?
Was it? Oh, you tell me. Tell me all about it
Well,
because I don't know.
Well, the way it all looks is that he was on the board
Of
the NPCA. Took a leave.
He represented Hamilton.
Right. Took a leave from the board and then got the job as the CEO.
Because he was the best guy for the job.
But he's... Wow. Okay. Well, you don't see the conflict there.
Absolutely not. As long as the processes are followed, if we go about it in a business-like fashion, and that was the best man for the job, why wouldn't we hire the best man for the job?
Well, and I know that there certainly he wasn't the only candidate, and you did hire a big HR firm from Toronto as well to do the search.
Are you talking as head of the NPCA or head of...
Well, for the region, I'm talking about the
for the
HR
region,
team
yeah.
for
Now you're
Toronto.
mixing me up. You're
and there's
confusing me.
Yeah, that's not one of my best features.
Okay,
so
Jim.
it's great to have your take on that because we do form committees. We give them the power to do the work, and they're supposed to come to us with the best candidate. And I just feel like sometimes there's kind of vote trading out there. I mean, we saw it almost with the airports.
Vote trading?
Oh yeah, I'll vote for your airport over here if you vote for my double direct over here. So much.
You know what? Bob Gale and I don't engage in much vote trading, actually.
No?
No, we don't. We vote the way we feel, the way we think it should be. And I'm not out there to trade around things that way. I voted for Carmen D'Angelo because he's the best man for the job, according to the recommendations of that committee,
Right.
spending $45,000. He was able to hit the ground running. He knows Niagara. He's been able to work with our 12 municipalities. It's no easy job to do the job he's going to do. And he had to be able to do that on the first day. And he has been swamped. He's been taking care of things very well, as far as I can see. He's been there 5 days.
Well, there you go. Yes, for sure.
But I have great hope for him.
Well, we can't do anything else but hope for our regional municipally elected officials. Selina Volpatti is my guest right now. Stereo Sunrise is taking us through the breaks here. We're going commercial free. It's all music and it's all talk radio today. I am Jim Fannin. Rob Foster will join us next. Well, maybe we'll form a little panel up here if Rob and Selina want to do something together. I don't know. Stereo Sunrise is our musical guest. I'm Jim Fannin. We're live from Sessions on the River. Thanks to Chris Curry for producing. He's the owner-operator here. And Stereo Sunrise. You guys got a new album coming out? Next year. Stereo Sunrise. Take us away, bro.
Don't be afraid to let a different state of mind bring you a change of pace. 'Cause there are those of you who believe to the other side. Don't you think you might like to try? No one's blaming the stars or the lengths that they will go. Just hear it in my voice, put my words aside. The conversation fails when talking years from now. I don't hear that in my voice. Other side. Don't you think you might like to try? No one fell from the stars to tell us what to do. We just come and go as we die off too. Who knows how long we'll be here? Sip from the cup of gold, of gold, of gold, of gold. Of gold. Thank you. This is a blast. Actually, I'm just thoroughly enjoying the talk show, too.
Patty, thanks for coming in. I'm Jim Fannin. We're live from Sessions on the River. Rob Foster's going to come up next.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
What's your pet issue? What do you get behind mostly? You talked about the bridge. You're on the housing committee.
Mental illness is my main interest.
Okay.
I was president of the Schizophrenia Society of Ontario for many years.
Okay, what's your connection?
My son has schizophrenia.
Wow. Okay, how old is he?
He's 53.
Wow.
Wow.
You don't look that old.
He's older than I am.
So your connection there, tell us a little bit about, how that's impacted your life. And then.
Well, very much. So he was diagnosed when he was 10. Was an alcoholic by the time he was 11.
Wow.
Spent 7 years.
So 10 years, hang on. Sorry to interrupt, but 10 years, you probably had issues.
Issues all the time.
And so before he was even diagnosed, you just don't have any clue. Other than you've got issues.
We knew that he was hearing voices. We knew that there was something wrong. But I was a school teacher, but I had really never thought of having insanity in my family. It is insanity. That's a very serious form of mental illness, as you know. And he was diagnosed when he was 17 at Penetanguishene, which is, a very tough place in the 70s, 80s when he went for the first time. He was 17. He was born in 1964. So, it was a rough go. It's opened my eyes to a lot of problems in our world.
Right, and so many of the root causes of mental illness are left unaddressed, in my opinion. I mean, we've got simple things, social programs, our healthcare system, it looks, the stigmatism around it.
But most of all, Jim, it's medicine with people with schizophrenia. If they're off their meds, then
right.
Life is very, very difficult. And closing the mental hospitals, the tertiary care hospitals like Hamilton, Penetanguishene, Brockville, I could go on, was a real mistake because these people are turned out to the mercy of the world, and many of them are very, very vulnerable. Fully 30% of persons with schizophrenia do not respond to any medication. So that means that they don't have any coping skills. Anyway, I have a long history with this, and my son is doing very well at this point. He lives in Hamilton. And I just have to tell you a short story. When he came out of hospital after being in for 7 years, he said, "Mom, I want to come back to Niagara Falls." And I said, "You cannot come back to Niagara." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because there's nothing here for you." So he's lived in Hamilton, and he's made a good life for himself there. He works for a company called Rainbow Corporation that employs only persons with mental illness.
Okay.
And he works outside. He's the superintendent of his apartment building, so he's done very well for himself.
So when you say there's nothing here for you, what do you mean?
Well, the services weren't here. And now we have tertiary care beds here, right?
Right, okay.
We have 2 community treatment teams that will look after persons with schizophrenia. In my last term on regional council, the Niagara Regional Police have put a professional person.
That was an important move.
In the patrol cars, right? So that they recognize.
So they have the resources to deal with the mental illness.
They have the skills to
it.
deal with mental illness. So elected chair is important, and a lot of things are important.
Oh, yeah.
But the most important thing in my life has been to take care of my own family.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think Joe Rogan said the other day, this is what happens when food is plenty. In other words, men will look for problems because we don't have to go hunt to feed our family. It's easy. So we come up with double direct and bullshit like this. To me, I think it's a little bit about ego and legacy. Like, I changed the system. I came, I fought, I delivered on what I said I was. Yeah, it's not going to make my life any better. You know what makes my life better? A good quality of life, safe communities, a job with a future, and knowing that my kids have a place that they can grow up and stay in. I mean, we've got a long way to go to get to that. But.
Well, we do. And we also have a long way to go to make sure that nobody's sleeping under a bridge tonight.
Amen.
Right? I mean, these are serious problems. In Niagara Regional Housing, we have over 11,000 people on our waiting list.
Right.
It takes 12 years to find a single apartment in social housing in Niagara Falls. That's unacceptable. So that's what I work on mainly.
Great segue. Speaking about bridges.
Oh, God. Here we go with the bridge,
what
right?
happened to our bridge? How come Rankin didn't get the deal on that bridge? Not that you were responsible for that.
Tom. I don't know anything about it.
He was lowest bidder, wasn't he?
No, he was not.
He wasn't?
Somebody here is listening.
Okay.
Second lowest
Second lowest by $500,000 or something like that? $7 million.
This guy should run. Where are you running?
We're going to bring Ari up. Ari from Stereo Sunrise. He's no slouch. Follows local politics. I can see
that. That's good.
It was funny. A friend of mine owns a house on Hayner that's just across the bridge. And they were doing some property management for him one day a couple years ago, just before Easter. And they stopped the boring at that time. They were putting the supports in.
caissons. Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, what's up? How come you guys stopped?" "Oh, well, we're stopped indefinitely. There's issues." Well, they thought they had some structural issues. So this is when I was at the station. So I got a scoop, right? This is news. It's Tuesday before Easter. So I called the region, Trip. says, "Oh, we're shut down for Easter. We're shut down for Easter. It's Tuesday."
It's a holy day.
Turns out they had some structural issues. They had to go in and make sure and do whatever they did and blah, blah, blah. But I
they had
knew
soil
it didn't
issues.
sound cool. Next thing, the bridge is closed. No one's going across the bridge. Still not a lot. And then trickles out. Well, I had Tom on the phone. He wouldn't go on record. And he said, "Oh, that's nothing. Wait till they have to deal with this, and this, and this."
Because he knew.
It's a bright guy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it went out legal. RFP was done, all above board. The best man for the job got it. I don't know, but we're double our budget now on that thing.
Yeah, we are actually. It went from $50 million up to, it's now $93.5 million, and I hope it gets no further than that. We've had a forensic audit done. It's been received, and nobody's seen it except our solicitor. And we'll just go from there and see what happened.
Wow. And yeah, I guess there's nothing more you can say of that. Speaking of forensic audits.
Right. Forensic is always a difficult word. I only knew forensic from mental illness. Like, this is a forensic institution. Now I know about it as far as it is concerned with audit. So I've been well educated on forensic issues.
How about with the money that the NPCA is spending? Do we need to audit their books and have a forensic audit of what they're spending
wait a minute.
down there?
We have no right to audit their books.
No.
You weren't listening to me before, Jim.
I said
we have no
we can pass the
jurisdiction.
buck from the region to the municipalities to the provincial government. Somebody needs to stand up and say, "Okay, it's time to be accountable." Don't you think?
Yeah, but wait a minute. The NPCA has audited statements. Deloitte, KPMG audits their statements as they audit the regional statements. Mm-hmm. We have no jurisdiction. The province can order something forensic if they want to, but that's been tried. But they know the NPCA is doing a fantastic job now, as opposed to before Carmen D'Angelo became their CAO.
What was the problem then?
Well, the landowners, and I think probably Rob can speak to this because he's in Lincoln and he knows these stories. The property rights of landowners were being abrogated. That's not right. Mm-hmm. Farmers, talk to Austin Kirkby in Niagara and ask her what she thinks of the NPCA. Because, if the farmer had a ditch, he was not able to do anything about it because the NPCA was controlling it. Carmen D'Angelo changed all that. It's a much more reasonable approach. And what we need in this life, Jim, believe it or not, is a really balanced approach to a lot of things.
Amen to that. I'm Jim
Amen.
Fenn. Selina Volpatti is my guest.
Amen.
Stereo Sunrise is our sponsor, our local musical guest today. They're playing us in and out. We're going to come up with Rob Foster next. He is the deputy mayor for Lincoln, locally elected as a town councillor. And we're going to talk some more local issues with him. But before that, one more song from Stereo Sunrise. I'm Jim Fannin. We're going all night tonight. I don't know how late we're going. Chris has got a couple more bands coming up, though. Chris Curry's the owner-operator here. You can come down and watch these guys later. They're going to play a full set starting around 6 o'clock. And you can buy them a drink. Yes. I'm going to feed you guys some Chinese food in a minute from across the street. Yeah. Chris ordered it.
Yay.
I'm Jim Fannin. This is Stereo Sunrise. Tuning up. Tommy in the booth.
That sounds better. It's called the Needle Crown.
Hit it.
Wasn't it just faith departing, chasing on good luck and time? Wasn't it just souls imparting that weakness is always blind as the needle cries? It always starts slowly when it's looking up. You're bumping the grind and there's drink in your cup. You could clock it all like you're punching time, keeping it loose, trading paper for dimes. Shiver when you fold it up in corners of a smoky room. You're pinned down 'cause you're struck by the moon. Your first attempt was with the Northern Star. You looked on up and there it was. Wasn't it just faith departing, chasing on good luck and time? Wasn't it just souls imparting that weakness is always blind? As the needle cried. You're looking for a place with a separate room. He sat you down as he lit you a spoon, talking all about the ages of war. You helped him out by taking more, so he sold you on the phone, sold you your pain. You sold him out, still he comes back again. Your trap was set, your wisdom was wet. An awful lot of people in the nation wept. Wasn't it just souls departing, chasing on good luck and time? Wasn't it just faith imparting that weakness is always blind? As the needle cried. Oh, it cried for more. Wasn't long before you wait for it rips you apart. It wasn't long before you asked for you needed more. No, you need more. No, you need more and more and more. Oh, you need more and more and more. Thank you.
Stereo Sunrise taking us in and out. Instead of commercial breaks, we have musical breaks. Rob Foster, thanks for hanging out, man.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Good to meet you.
I've been really fascinated with these discussions with my esteemed colleagues at the region earlier.
Make you want to run for the region?
Oh, well, no comment on that at the moment, but we were discussing earlier, I'm a card-carrying Liberal as well, but the big thing at our council, and I'm hoping at the regional level as well, is that it really doesn't come into play. Quite fascinating at our council, we had 2 of our councillors actively considering running as the candidates in this last provincial election. Got me? Yeah. We had 2 of them actively interested in becoming the candidates in the last provincial election, one for Conservative, one for Liberal. And so it makes for an interesting dynamic, but all the decisions that are made at a council level is on the person's level. I mean, you have to work with everyone else in order to make things happen. And I think that's the best way to be with government. We have an interesting 19-year-old now as our
your riding's the most famous one in Ontario now.
As our MPP. I'm sure he's going to bring that depth of knowledge to the table in Toronto to make our area better. There's some sarcasm there, I hope so.
Sarcastic quotes. Did you get that? I'm just waiting for the smile to break or something. Where's the... Come on, Tommy.
But I think, to give him credit, he followed the process. He became
he
the
ousted
nominated...
the party president.
He got himself nominated. Full credit to him.
By the way, Rick Dykster's rumored to take the MPCA job. Did you know that? No, I'm just kidding.
So,
he said he can't pay him enough to listen to us bitch about him at that position.
We'll see. Yeah. What I personally believe,
140
though,
a year.
Yeah. Personally, I think the Progressive Conservative Party had a safe seat in our area. I mean, Mr. Hudak was there for a long time before, and my opinion, for what it's worth, is that they did a huge disservice to us by doing what they did going into the election. I mean, the nomination process to me seemed a little bit weird as it was going on. The rank balloting that they did, that's what they decided to do.
No, that's not in the Constitution. Isn't that normal for every race?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been separated from the Progressive Conservatives at that type of thing for a long time. So, but But the problem is that we have a young guy now coming in as our MPP. It's been difficult for us in our area to get things done with the province because of Hudak being there. I mean, let's be perfectly frank. You know, there are things that happen when you have the leader of the opposition as your MPP. So we'll see if this changes. I hope it does. But anyway.
Well, no, and that's a great point. And I think that a lot of our other, even federal officials sometimes are handcuffed by the fact of, no, we got a minister sitting right over there. We can't have another one down here. Yeah. So I think that sometimes it works against you. It's interesting to hear you put it that way. Yeah. But was it Brown that was rumored, or is this report? I don't know, but I heard somewhere that he said, well, see, that's what happens when you have open races. Well, we call for open races. The fix is in. You know, that was your guy. You got him appointed. You stacked the deck. You know, you rigged the rules. And then the guy that's supposed to win, for crying out loud, we're sitting here. We did a show that day. Yeah. And 10:30 that night, the decision was made. But I was already talking to my guests here about how connected Rick is, how he's not the stupidest guy out there. He's connected himself with good policy people, good people to give him good advice on the way up the ladder in the Harper government. And I think his heart's kind of over. You know, he grew up in the province under Mike Harris, and kind of his first love was there. And I see him as having designs on the Premier's office, and who knows? But then his first step goes right out from underneath him.
But I'm not unhappy that Rick Dykstra isn't there either. So
either way, it's a safe seat, I guess. But for 18 months, you've got the youngest MPP in Ontario.
In Ontario, well,
ever elected.
Yeah, for Ontario, that's right. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the elected regional chair. I listened to what my esteemed colleagues had to say about it. The first person who brought forward the notion of doing that was a private member's bill by Tim Hudak back a few years ago, and that was soundly defeated, but I think it set the seeds for where the provincial government is now with what they're doing. I gotta say, I'm not real fussy about it, and the reason's very simple. All of a sudden, like within political spheres, you have people voting for that position. The position of regional chair is powerful enough the way it is. Now, if you have a vote that's going along with it, of the electorate going in behind, suddenly that position becomes even more powerful within the thing. So suddenly we might end up with like cabinet positions almost, like if you want to go, like we're seeing in Toronto, the executive level that goes into play. I really think that's a disservice in a regional government situation. And it's something that I know we try. Like you certainly don't want to see that within the municipal sphere. So anyway, I think there's a lot of things that we're going to learn as we go down the road with this, and some of it I think is going to be fallout that we're not going to be too fussy about. So
now you've got your own land use issues in your riding or ward or whatever you want to call it as well. What are you up against as far as land issues go? I mean, everyone's screaming there's no land. There's no land for the developers. There's no development to increase the assessment base. Our taxes are all based on building new houses, upon developers coming in and developing land that, you know, may or may not be one time used agriculturally. Probably isn't the greatest for it now. All the stuff, you know, down alongside the highways and stuff like that, you can't grow grapes on that anymore. So at the same time, you know, we respect the green belt, but we feel handcuffed by it. So what are you facing out in Lincoln as far as land use goes?
Well, first of all, green belt doesn't necessarily mean grapeland. What it means is essentially keeping things in agriculture. Our municipality right from the start embraced green belt when the province came through with it. And in fact, I think it's done us a lot of good because we have spent time working with the province. You know, they're listening to us when it comes to fine-tuning. Our official plan now, we are a centre of excellence for agriculture within Ontario, officially approved through our OP. You know, the thing about our municipality is we're on a spurt of growth right at the moment. Okay, yes, all of our boundaries are fixed, like most municipalities.
We're revisiting that again, though, right? Isn't the province looking at that again?
The Greenbelt's being revisited, but I highly doubt you're going to see a weakening. I think you're probably going to see a strengthening within it as well. So at least that seems to be the modus operandi that's been going on with Greenbelt up till now. My former mayor, regional councillor Bill Hodgson, said, you know, we embrace Greenbelt within our area, but we've had a variety of issues where industrial applications were trying to come in, and basically we're telling people, look, if you want us to be the Greenbelt, you have to remember that there are things that we have to do within our municipality, and don't be doing things like, you know, offering up big-time composting facilities and stuff like that within our area. It doesn't match with what it is that we're trying to do as a municipality. You've already handcuffed us, so make sure the rules and regulations that are there for us are there to help us move forward. So,
talk to me a little bit about the significance of the Prudhom's Landing redevelopment.
Oh, that's a big time. That
Italian
is so
firm
huge.
Come in? Another foreign firm.
It's been bought. There's Italian money that came in and purchased the property. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing the full development when it's all said and done. There will be a variety of local developers that will likely have bits and pieces within that, is my guess. We had a secondary plan in place that was looking at that as a work-live community with commercial pieces, and in fact, we took Niagara on the Lake and the region to the OMB back a few years ago because, you know, the new development that's gone on at Niagara on the Lake, the new, the one along the highway that has the
supercenter?
The supercenter
right.
that's going there. But yeah, the outlet mall. But the thing with that is that it was being built bigger than what was approved through the regional plan. And we took them to the OMB, and it was agreed that, yes, it was not going to be built to the size that they wanted to go and do. Because we in Lincoln had a whole series of things around the Prudhom's development that we wanted to have go forward. Now, when it's all said and done, I'm not sure what this is going to look like. I'm kind of thinking that you know, it's going to be a nice set of residential that's going into it. We're still looking at a good live work, but the most important thing for our municipality is the waterfront. We're looking right now at a 3-kilometer stretch of waterfront, and if we put that in place, it's probably one of the most significant things for any community along Lake Ontario that's been put in place. So we're quite excited. I'm chair of the planning committee, the Planning and Economic Development Committee within our town as well, and this just fits bang on with what it is that we're trying to do. So,
not to mention the assessment growth that you'll see a little lift for the revenues of the.
You know, assessment growth is great, but you know, you want to talk about regional issues, right? So, you know, the town of Lincoln, the town of Pelham, the town of Grimsby, and the town of Niagara on the Lake, frankly, pay the lion's share of what it is that's going on within the region. And what I mean by that is that our taxes on a per capita basis are higher than elsewhere within Niagara region, okay, to pay for Niagara region. So, and the problem with that is that, you know, and some of us look back and say, well, why are we putting services in place like transit for Welland, Niagara Falls, and St. Catharines? This simply doesn't make sense from our point of view. Why are you going and using regional funds towards those types of things? We don't get it, okay? However, you know, the whole concept of tying in some sort of a process, it makes sense. But, you know, the reality, like even on policing and stuff like that, again, we pay more per capita than elsewhere within Niagara region.
Complain quite a lot that for the services that they're getting from the NRP versus what they're paying, yeah.
Well, I know, and our view, and this should lead to an interesting discussion, is that, you know, it's great that we have this massive police force for downtown Niagara Falls, but, you know, for the rest of us, you know, it'd be kind of nice if we saw a few more patrol cars when we're seeing things as well. So,
well, we could just hire the OPP to come in, right, Selina? Come on, they can do it for a lot less than $500 million. Come on. The guys at the NRP are turning off the station right now. Oh my gosh, my niece's mother worked for the NRP. She's saying.
The other thing, though, I wanted to briefly say is I totally agree with Selina on on conflict of interest, and I don't think that was fair on with Carmen and the group there. But there's two conflicts of interest that we deal with as politicians. There's what's written down as true conflict of interest, and then there's the perceived. Okay. And so in this particular case, there are a lot of questions from a lot of people that are going on saying, what the heck are you guys doing down there at the region? In a lot of ways, I scratch my head with it as well. I mean, I've had some overlap in experience with Mr. D'Angelo. I don't like some of the things that went on at Niagara Region. And by the way, I have a big history with the Conservation Authority. My uncle, through marriage, was Gord Harry, who was the chair down there for a number of years, as well as the general manager at the Conservation Authority. And boy, some of the things that they have done and where they have gone with the organization, to me, I just scratch my head.
Was that before it was so political? And also, I want these guys to do what their name says they're supposed to do. I want them to protect, conserve, and they just now Chair, what's his name?
Timms is
saying that their mandate has changed and now they're about development. And if they've hired a lobbyist to go to Queen's Park to get the PSW removed from this piece of land in Niagara Falls so the Chinese can come in and pave it over, the last piece of old growth forest in PSW that we've got in Niagara, how can you, I just don't get how you can call yourself a conservation authority and then hire a lobbyist to go to Queen's Park to remove the conservation label on a piece of land that's golden, not only to, bats and eels and strange animals that don't live anywhere else in the world, but there's some traditional native ceremonial benefit from having this forest there. I mean, our natives, wow, I can't believe what we've done to the natives, but this is some ceremonial land here.
Yeah, Jim, I don't know enough about it to offer opinion on it, but there have been a lot of concerns raised about switching properties that are within the conservation land jurisdiction out and switching other lands in. And
if you're
it's
winery or something like that, the big business, if you're going to bring some jobs in, it seems to be open. I don't know.
Yeah, again,
frustrating.
All of the open houses that went on in our town, basically people came in saying, no, this is not a good idea, but I'm just a humble local councillor, so what do I get to say about it, right?
Host. Stereo Sunrise is our humble band playing some music for us today instead of commercials. We got rock stars in the house, and you guys can play a couple this time around because I got some Chinese food out there, and you guys got longer breaks than I do, so we're going to go out and have some Chinese. You want to play a couple, and then you guys can eat when we're done. We're going to come back up, have Selina Volpatti and Mr. Foster up here together to talk a little bit more regional politics. Mike Britton did get back to me and said he was going to come down. Well, maybe he'll still make it. Sandy gives his regrets. Sandy, you blew it, man. You punked me. Did you just say you're a loser? This is Stereo Sunrise. I'm Jim Fannin from Sessions on the River.
What's the matter with the coming days? Oh, they're not like you said, so you go insane. I walked down 3 flights of stairs today, only to find that I got a message from the word on the street. It's not like we've had much to eat. No, Lord, but the message was received, only to find this gravity of my wobbly spine. Oh, it's making me weaker. Lower and lower, it keeps sinking in deeper, only to find this gravity of you might as well, 'cause we all do. The moral of the story is it's true. stairs today, only to find this gravity of another problem with the word on the street. You know, it's not like we've heard much this week, oh Lord, but the message was received, only to find this gravity of my wobbly spine. Oh, it's making me weaker, lower and lower, it keeps sinking in deeper. So watch what you say to her, oh, it's not like we'd ever leave. And watch what you say to her, 'cause it's not like you held on, it's not like you held on, it's not like you held on, it's not like you held on to me. Thank you. We're going wild. All right, take it off. We got one more. What are we doing? No, that's what it is. It's called Wait For It. Well, it's a corner view for you in the shade, and disappointing, keeping it down while you wait. Been there just calling the tide out to you, to pick up where you left off to. Set sail, you're like a current on a waiting storm, 'cause you were strong, just like you were tall. Well, if it's pleasing to you, well, then it's pleasing to me. What can I say? If we remember those things and then we keep them within, they don't wait. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time to unwind. You're like a current on a waiting storm. You were strong, and just like you were tall. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time. But your walls don't close on me, and you're a little bit fancy free. I just came to talk. You were strong, just like you were tall. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time. It's like a waveform, waiting for a little time. Just waiting for a little time. Just waiting for a little time.
Yeah, baby! Stereo Sunrise does not suck at all.
Thank you. Here's a 20.
Hashtag Niagara rocks, baby. That's what we do for the talent when they come on the show. Niagara rocks it. I'm Jim Fannin. Thanks, Chris Curry. So where did we get the Chinese food from, Chris? You can't talk. We can't hear you, can you?
Same restaurant? She called something like that.
Yeah, is that the one? Tasty. I'm Jim Fannin. We're live from Sessions on the River. Today, we're going all regional stuff. Regional, municipal. The last show, we had a mix of guests, so we were talking mainly about environmental issues, and this time we did a little bit more of a focus on the regional government and some of the issues that we've seen come down the pipe just as recently as this week, with the province delivering a mandatory elected chair for regions like ours and what the impact of that might be in our areas. Selina Volpatti and Rob Foster are with me still today. Mike Britton apparently is on his way. Sandy Annunziata, no props to you, you ditcher. So guys, if you want to come on up, we'll talk a little bit more regional and municipal politics. The chairs OHU. Thanks again, Stereo Sunrise did a nice job. They're coming back at 6 o'clock and they're going to play a full set. Full set, and tickets are $50 at the door. Special discount tonight for Stereo Sunrise. VIP access.
That group available. Was great.
Isn't it great?
Oh,
and it's such a really intimate venue to get acquainted with any type of band, and we've so fortunate to have, and many people don't know about it, but Chris has done a nice job here. First class facility, recording studio.
Beautiful, very
and
nice.
So
yeah.
I tell these guys it's like a love affair with their albums. I put it in my car. It gets played over and over and over and over and over and over and over until I can't stand it anymore, and then it gets shelved for 6 months. And then every time I see them, I'm saying to them, can we get some new music? Like that 5-song EP, what's it called? Wait for it. Hey. Just so fortunate to have such great local talent, and these guys do other things other than music as well, so they are also giving back to the community in other ways, but this is a great way to feature them as well, so I'm very grateful for their support as well. So yeah, Stereo Sunrise, thank you very much. Selina Volpatti, Mr. Foster, now you're the deputy mayor out in Lincoln, and that was your connection here today, although did you get an email from me as well? So I put it out to all the municipal councillors, the regional councillors, of which the mayors are, so everyone should have gotten it. But
my mayor, Sandra Easton, actually, we talked about it, and I decided to come simply because she would have been here if. But she's gone up north. So, but yes, we're very happy to be here.
Now, you guys, have you met before?
We have not.
No. So we talked a little bit about. Well, we talked about everything today. We go all over the map, and that's my show for you. So. We talked a little bit about economic activity, talked about the bridge, about homelessness. I mean, there's no silver bullet. I get that. It seems like a few of us are looking for it, like this will change everything. I'm not sure that, we need to have that discussion as a little bit pie in the sky. So Selina, maybe we come back to you a little bit about, what you see regionally that we can do. I don't know, there's a lot of, the thing I hear so much is we're over-governed. We need less politicians.
Baloney.
I don't understand that argument from the standpoint that if I have a problem, I want access to as many people as I can. In other words, I want as many people representing my town or my ward or what have you that I can go and complain to. When the shit hits the fan, I want somebody to take a responsibility for it. So I seem to be more of a status quo guy right now. We have a region. It's been there for a long time. We've got 12 municipalities. They function together pretty good for a long period of time. Now we're talking about rejigging it all. And I get if the province comes and shoves amalgamation down our throat, and we saw it happen in Toronto, I'm not sure it made a better place for Torontonians to live.
I think it did not make a better place for Torontonians.
No, and they didn't save any money. So I don't want to have that conversation for 2 terms for something that never will pass the triple majority. Now, I guess if all the municipalities went to the province and said, hey, we want this, but we're certainly not doing that. We've seen how our teamwork as a region has moved the GO file down the tracks, pardon the pun, because that GO thing was...
GE and Welland, I mean, that's a huge bonus.
Yeah. And now they're talking about, Niagara Falls, Welland, and St. Catharines municipal transits coming together. But still, Brian Height stands Thursday night at regional government and says, well, hopefully we can get a Niagara Transit, and hopefully one Niagara is not far
But
behind
that's
that.
because
Chair Caslin was on 610 this week saying, you know, there is a call for a one Niagara. They're already selling this shit. I just can't believe it.
That's because
Subtly,
they're from
too.
St. Catharines.
Yeah.
They want a one Niagara. It benefits them. It doesn't benefit the rest of us. Doesn't benefit Lincoln. Certainly doesn't benefit Niagara Falls.
The thing that you have to look at is why the calls are coming out of St. Catharines for this type of stuff, okay?
And mainly from politicians, it seems.
And through politicians.
I mean,
Like,
the electorate's not standing there and say, we want one Niagara, we want dual duty. 30 people come out for a dual duty meeting.
Yeah, but the thing is that St. Catharines has neglected some of their infrastructure for years, okay? Like there's millions and millions of dollars worth of infrastructure have to be done to the underground of St. Catharines. The problem is that, you know, everybody has been going through these taxation regimes where they're basically saying we're keeping this to an absolute minimum and we're going to avoid doing some of the work that possibly should be done. Well, those roosters are coming home right at the moment, okay? And so they're looking at municipalities such as Lincoln. They're looking at municipalities such as Niagara-on-the-Lake. Like
and Niagara Falls.
And Niagara Falls. And we have a top-notch infrastructure. I mean, I've been on council for 16 years, and I'll tell you, so many years we were going through and we were replacing pipes and we were doing all of the work that was within our municipality, and it's not sexy, okay?
No.
We're not building fourplexes. We're not building things that are going to be, you know, huge within the community from that point of view. And suffice it to say, we have things well in control. Now let's take a look at St. Catharines. I mean, we'll have to let those councillors talk to that more, but there's some major deficits going on there. Why not make use of the whole region? I mean, Welland is going through the same thing too. You know, like it's a city that needs a major overhaul within the infrastructure as well. So there we go.
And I see this elected chair as this is a slippery slope.
Yep.
For me, dual duty, the elected chair. Next thing, they want to say, let's amalgamate, let's get all the cities together. As far as I'm concerned, I know you have 125 politicians, sounds like a lot. In Niagara Falls, we went down from 12 councillors to 8 councillors. The world did not end on that day. We've continued, that's 20 years ago. But I think we are working well together. I don't think the people of Niagara in general want to amalgamate into one huge region. And 125 politicians, so put the elected regional chair, give us an amalgamated regional government, and then look at the price. And I bet it would be a lot more than it is today.
Right.
As I say, I'm dual duty. I have been for my career as a regional politician. I will continue to do that because I think I should. One thing we haven't really addressed today is jobs and prosperity, because that's on our list of things that we have to do. That's number one. One of the things that we can do things better without amalgamating. And I think Rob would agree with me.
I will. I will.
Oh, good. He agrees. Somebody agrees with me. It's a good day. Planning is an issue that is huge. Right? Because right now we have 13 planning regimes across the region. This makes it very difficult for anybody who wants to do business here. I have a resident who called me and said, look, I'm an event counselor. I bring weddings and corporate conferences from all over the world to Niagara. But to do that, I have to know the regulations in each of 13 regimes. That is a full-time job, a month's job for a person, just to get that all together. There's no reason, there's no excuse for that kind of thing. Somehow we've got to work on the things that we can work on without talking about amalgamation.
Yeah.
Economic development is another one. We have, I think, 5 or 6 economic development offices in the region.
Right, not every town has one. Or
not every town has one. But I think they're together now. Like they put GE in Welland. That came to Niagara Falls first. We didn't have serviceable land, enough serviced land for them. We said go to Welland. They have the land for their hospital, which is what they gave them, right? Mm-hmm. So on that level, we can do a lot better. Absolutely.
And I think now to give credit on a regional basis, Back
There's no credit. We're not allowed to give credit.
Yeah, no. When we went back when I was early in my career at our council, I became a member of the regional task force on planning. And what we did at that point in time was we signed a memorandum of understanding between all of our municipalities to go and streamline some of the planning processes. That actually was really good. Like what it does is the expectation when you're going municipality to municipality is you're going to get essentially the same process, if you want to put it that way. Now, some are more difficult than others. I mean, it's rumored that Lincoln is very difficult to deal with on a planning level. I don't know. We don't see it, but you know, there's that type of stuff. But
guess who's the worst?
St. Catharines.
Always.
Niagara Falls. No.
St. Catharines.
I had a businessman move from Niagara Falls, moved to St. Catharines, said it took him 10 times the time to get the approvals, that he could have done this in Niagara Falls 10 times before he did it in St. Catharines. I don't know. He's just saying, Jimmy, you know what? I've been in Niagara Falls my whole life. I've opened many businesses. The hardest part was coming down to St. Catharines.
But part of where you're going to is this whole view of government. And one of the things that worries me in Niagara region, who is the single largest employer? Well, the single largest is Niagara region.
Niagara region.
And if you sit back and look at any economic processes, policies, books, reviews, and stuff like that, you should not have your government as the single biggest employer that's going on within your area. Wow, yeah. So there's some foundational problems that are going on right off the bat with Niagara region. They can ignore it if they want, but there's substantial issues with that. Where am I going to with this? The thing is that, you know, there's not an automatic link between all of our communities. I mean, I know Niagara Falls is an entity unto itself. I mean, like the tourism, the development, things that are going on there. You know, to me, it's an entity unto itself. I mean, I've worked with many councillors from Niagara Falls. We've always done really well together. But our end of the region, Grimsby, Lincoln, West Lincoln, the focus is actually more Hamilton. I mean, like, you know, including the hospital, including where people work. I mean, like it's a completely different focus. The Toronto focus as well with it. So, you know, if we're moving down the road to rethinking what Niagara region is all about, boy, there's going to have to be a real in-depth discussion about it because, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense for us and Niagara Falls to be in the same boat. Now, mind you, we're in the same hydro system together now with
Niagara Peninsula Energy. Yeah.
But anyway, it's
tough.
It's never easy, and there's never a single silver bullet.
No, and you can't dictate that from on high. That has to be worked out by municipalities in the region itself, as far as I'm concerned. We had a great report. I don't know, 15 years ago, the region did a report, consultation as to what would be the best look for Niagara region as far as municipalities were concerned, and they said 3. The river cities, Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake is one city called Niagara Falls, Welland with Port Colborne and the surrounds there, St. Catharines and Thorold. But, you know, when I talked to Jim, maybe we need 4. Maybe Grimsby, Lincoln, West Lincoln should be a city. Maybe we need a 4-city model. I think we have to rationalize.
Grimsby's unique too, as well.
Yeah.
Pardon? I think Grimsby's pretty unique inside of the region as
absolutely.
well. I mean, we're all unique, but you know, my argument against that whole conversation is, like I said before, is you know, unless it's mandated, unless we can come to an agreement here, and then go to the province and say, okay, please force this on us. But then you're never going to come up with that consensus, and it's never. I don't see how any reform outside, you know, we talk term limits. We saw what happened in Toronto, recall. Yeah. I mean, should we have a mechanism to recall? Can that be abused? I don't know.
It's called a hook.
Yeah, referenda.
There's a recall every 4 years. So
and I get that. I just don't know how any government reform at all, and I can't believe I'm a status quo guy on this, doesn't do anything but waste our time, and then in the end doesn't make the politics any easier to do, and doesn't make our quality of life any better, which is something that I wish the region would get on board with a little bit more. But I mean, we've had a hard time recruiting companies and families and people now, we're seeing them naturally gravitate and immigrate to our area because of our low real estate values, which aren't so low anymore. But still, our quality of life is 10 times what we get an hour around the lake. There's no lines.
And that's why
When's the
they're
last
coming?
time somebody honked a horn at you in Niagara? You go to Toronto, that's all
they
day.
honk horns at me all the time.
But I think the big thing out of this, Jim, is you're going down the road, and I'm really glad that you're opening up these questions to the local politicians. It's all going to come down to economics. I mean, our municipality right now, ours isn't the greatest municipality. I mean, I think it is compared to the others, but we've done a lot of really good things.
One of the best.
Yeah, one of the
Pure as the driven snow, Lincoln.
Yeah, we've done a lot of really good things within our municipality, but we're finding that the staffing that has to go into place. I mean, all of us in these smaller communities all have high-paid CAOs, high-paid planning directors, high-paid directors of infrastructure, high-paid community services people. Okay. And the problem is that it's a model that's not going to be sustainable for very much longer. I mean, we're all paying out a ton of money. So the question is, what's the size that makes the most sense as we're going down the road? Lincoln, we're a have municipality. Okay, like we have lots of good development. We have higher than normal values of homes within our municipality. So the taxation base is there, but sooner or later, people are going to rebel and say enough is enough. Like the taxation rates are high enough. So where do you go to then? And that's when we have to start seriously talking across the region and outside of that as to what the new models are going to look like.
That's right.
So,
I often think we're not alone in the world, and we forget that. One of our biggest advantages, I think, is having a U.S. border. I mean, that's huge for us. Yeah. If you look at upper state New York, western New York, Niagara County, Erie County, talk about 12 municipalities. They have about 1,200 municipalities over there. And they have been held back in many ways just because of their governance structure. And they refuse to, you have Cheektowaga, Ottawa. It goes on and on and on. Yeah. So we're not that bad, thank goodness. But they're suffering. And we have been suffering, and we shouldn't be because of our geographical location, because of the quality of life that we can experience here, etc. But I think as the GTA gets bigger and bigger, and I'm not talking about the Greater Thorold area, I'm talking about the Greater Toronto area, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
We all know that TO stands for Thorold.
Yeah.
Okay.
GTA. Thorold, Ontario.
As it gets bigger and bigger, people are naturally going to be attracted down here. Why they're going to Barrie and Pickering instead is beyond my comprehension.
Go.
Well, Go makes a difference, but who sent Go out there? Go didn't just arise from the earth. Somebody put it there. And why would they have put it there? That's politics. And that's what I'm saying. Jim, you asked me before, do I just trade votes around? No, I don't do that, and I don't think Rob would do that.
Absolutely
because
not.
you want the best for your municipality. That's why I've been in politics for 25 years, and that's why people keep voting for me, I hope. They don't do it because my name is there and they know my name. And that's the other thing we have to impress on people. When you vote, know who you're voting for.
And that's more difficult, I think, at the municipal level than it is anywhere because people just don't get the exposure to it.
It's not at the presidential level?
Well,
just municipal, right?
No, I think at the municipal level, the electorate just is not exposed to the issues, exposed to the press conferences, exposed to the politicians as much as they see the provincial and the federal ones on TV, on the news all the time. They hear about the issues provincially and federally and municipally. I think it's not so much. We don't have the coverage much.
Well, it's not entirely true. And
we have lower voter turnout for municipal than we do anything.
True, but the voter turnout that comes is an engaged voter turnout. The reality is that I hear from a lot of people within my community all the time about issues. I happen to know those are the people that are voting. Okay, they're looking for reasons to vote for me. They're looking for reasons for me to take leadership positions and things. They're looking to hear what I'm doing on council. Personally, I do a blog. Personally, I'm on Facebook, making sure that things are out there for people. I tweet like everyone else does with things. And I have a lot of people that follow within my municipality to find out what's going on. Communication is critical to make sure that people know and understand what's going on.
Right now, I'd rather have a 50% voter turnout any day than 100% and 50% don't know what they're doing. That's dangerous. Seriously.
Check the U.S. So anyway.
44% of their population did not turn out to vote.
Now, talking about the quality of voter, how about the quality of candidate? What do we do to get the quality of the elected official up? We've talked about how, well, we haven't talked today, but many people have talked about our compensation for elected officials. I mean, your job at the region, what, they pay you $28,000?
I think it's 30.
Okay, that's not enough for what you guys do to read all those reports, some of the 1,200-page reports coming through. But the person
who thinks they're going to, this is not a full-time job.
No, but do you think that you have a hard time recruiting good, better quality counselors because compensation's not as good?
Well, in order to make a difference there, Jim, I think you have to make it full-time. You have to pay the $100,000 a year, and I'm not sure whether that gives you a better candidate or not. Seriously, I'm not sure. We have people like Robin and a lot of our 125 representatives who are there for the good of their community.
Yeah, they're certainly not doing it for the $18,000 the municipality gives.
Please.
No. And you know, the bottom line on monies, it was funny, one of my nemesis in the community before the last election came to me and said, you should be paid a lot more. And I said, sure, I think I should be. So in one of the all candidates meetings, he had the thing, so Councillor Foster, are you going to vote in favor of increases? And my comment was, I'd love to be paid what they get paid in Toronto, but I'm not. I'm doing the exact same job on my $15,000 a year, along with the other councillors that we have, as they do down there. And in fact, they spend far more time messing around with politics than we ever would. So anyway, I don't think money is the object. We have a really good council in our town. I mean, very well educated. All of them have been strong community-based that are moving into. We have a mayor that's exceptional. She's come into the role, and our previous mayor was exceptional within it as well. We've been extremely lucky. So,
isn't that what it boils down to a lot of the times? Is luck?
To some degree, and maybe we just have an electorate that knows and understands, what it is that they're looking for.
Pulling from as well, I guess.
Yeah, good talent pool. And I think everybody always knocks politicians, and I understand that, and I'm fair game for all of that. But in the final analysis, when they need something, they call me, and I get it done.
Yeah.
So
same here.
I'm very proud of that.
Selina Volpatti is my guest. We're sitting with Rob Foster as well. He's the deputy mayor for Lincoln, also obviously elected as councillor.
By the way, I don't get any extra money for that. It's titler only.
Deputy. You get a lot of fringe benefits. Fringies, I'm sure. Yeah. Stereo Sunrise is going to play us a couple more tunes, and then we're going to bring them guys up. We're going to make them the politicians. We're going to interview their asses. Yeah, play us a couple more, I think, and then 6 o'clock. We've got a separate link for Stereo Sunrise. We're coming back, and they're going to play a full set for us at 6 o'clock. So I'm Jim Fannin. We're live from Sessions on the River. And thanks to my guest, Stereo Sunrise is next.
Forgive me, I forgot to say while you were around, but I digress on these moments and look to the ground. And bodies of insects, they fold up as they dry out. murder, the madness, and calm by habitual doubts, you know. My grandmother walked backwards down the stairs. She was patient with the minimum of care. Don't suppose there's other ways in there. She wondered over the years. Curious believers with irrational fears, we wander our way to uncover what we know isn't clear. This kind of living toward it moves you around. As it started to turn, I believe that the quiet rebounds. Quietly I rebound. My grandmother walked backwards down the stairs. She was patient with the minimum of care. Don't suppose there's other ways in there. She wondered over the years. My grandmother walked backwards down the stairs. She was patient with the minimum of care. Don't suppose there's other ways in there. She wandered over the years. Don't know how it did ever start. This is kind of out of sorts for me, so excuse my lack of identity. Some say that a line not far away was crossed and walked through for many days. Just came in from out of nowhere, tried to fight as we disappear. Disappear. How did you not know what we were? And how did you not see it before? How did you slip into our space? Oh, how you move like a rattlesnake. We've been discussing things for a while now. You know it's easy to ignore. I can see it in the pit of my soul, but I don't know how we got in this hole. And how did you not know what we were? And how did you not see it before? How did you slip into our space? Oh, how you move like the rattlesnake.
Okay, Stereo Sunrise. Guys, you can just take a seat right there. I'll bring him back in a minute. Stereo Sunrise has been our guest, musical guest, all day. They're playing commercials. They're playing commercials for us. This is our commercial break. It's rock and freaking roll, baby. It's always cool having the drummer like locked in that room where he smashes the fuck out of those skins, you know. I'm Jim Fannin. Thanks for tuning in today. We're live streaming on live stream. We're streaming on live stream. Chris Curry is the owner-operator here at Sessions on the River. Thanks, Chris, for breaking out that Chinese food. It's awesome. So, thanks to all my guests that we had in today. Rob Foster, very cool coming in. He is the deputy mayor of Lincoln and elected as a city councillor, town councillor there. Sandy Annunziata stiffed on me. Mike Britton has a chance to redeem himself if he gets here before 6 o'clock. We're going live till 6, and then Stereo Sunrise is coming back and going to play us a full set. And then we got a full set of music tonight. We got a couple more bands coming on. Check out Sessions on the River for all that information. I'm Jim Fannin. 2 years off the air. Decided to come back. So passionate about my community. You know, you forget why you do this kind of thing. I'm a real estate guy. You know, that's what I do to put money on the table. I got this little gig on the radio for a little while there. I was a volunteer. Political talk show, basically. But then we had the local bands come in and play the music in and out of commercial, which we don't have to run commercials. One day I hope we do. I have personal testimonials for commercials here on the Jim Fannin Show. But we had the bands play the bumper music in and out of the commercial breaks, and it occurred for me very early on in my days, and my second radio show, that it was less and less about my shitty political takes and my guests' shitty political takes, and everyone's takes are kind of shitty at some point. They're not always the greatest, and it got more to be about the music. And then and then I built a connection with a lot of those guys that came in to play, talk to the music business. So I'm glad to be back. We may be knocking on your door soon and saying, hey, you want to sponsor a gig like this? A show that talks about issues maybe that don't get picked up in the local media, in the newspaper, and the radio locally. I really feel like there's a gap, and I'm hoping to fill that. So thank you for your support. Thank you for the nice words out in the community. I'm blown away by how many people actually think I'm still on the radio 2 years after I'm not being on there. So I must have some staying power or something like that. But from a part-timer on the radio to coming in here with Chris Curry operating out of Sessions on the River, just really honored to fill the gap finally, or hopefully at some point. So I'm Jim Fannin. We still rock and roll in there? Can you turn my room temperature down? Okay, cool. Stereo Sunrise. Now, Ari, maybe you should come up and take the first seat. You guys can all come up together. I'm not sure how many will get in the shot or how many of you guys want to talk. Ari, what the hell, man? You're politically motivated, connected, and educated, and what's all this? You know how many dollars lower that the Rankin bid? Oh, sorry, higher that the Rankin bid was than this group from Quebec that got the job. Now, are you working on the bridge?
Not anymore. I was. Okay. Actually.
Right. So
fired him.
Yeah. Sorry.
Nice.
All right. You can pass this mic around. These are my boys, Stereo Sunrise.
It's hungover.
Who is?
What?
He doesn't drink.
No, I feel great.
You guys smell like weed, though. Are you outside? No, I'm just kidding. Can't smell anything over here. But the bar is open. I'm having a rum and coke, my first one of the day. I have not been drinking much lately. Yeah,
I know. Nice. I feel like a wizard or something.
Yeah? You're a witch on that drum kit back there. Forget the wizard. I like that.
Thank you.
All right. Tell me, what's your take on the... You're chirping from the audience over there about the bridge, man. What's your connection?
Well, I work... my day job is actually I'm a professional engineer. I work for a company. We do, bridges within the region. And we were involved as a sub-consultant on the Burgoyne Bridge for the construction inspection.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, how many engineers do you know that play music in St. Catharines? Is this
My boss plays guitar as well, yeah.
So now, are you pay attention to this kind of stuff, or you just pay attention to the bridge construction because you're involved in it?
Yeah, I like I'm interested in what's going on in the community and especially Bridges. So.
Are you going to run for regional or municipal council at some point?
No.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy?
Just give him time. He's young.
You think he's that guy? Justin, introduce yourself as well.
I'm Justin.
Lead singer, heartthrob. You guys are all heartthrobs. We're missing one guy, though. We're going to have Piero eat. He's probably going to get some Chinese food.
He disappeared. He does that.
Bro, what's... we got you in studio tonight. You're going to play a full set. I'm really excited about that.
I can't wait.
New music?
A few new songs and just some of the old ones and the radio hits. Oh wait, no.
There's 5 songs on Wait For It. That's an EP.
Yes.
You got an album before that though, right?
It was another EP. It was what was on that one? 4?
4 songs, yeah.
4-song EP. So that was like in 2014. This one was released this year, and we're planning to start recording a full-length album over the winter break.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, before I even got to know you guys or saw you play, I noticed that you're getting a whole lot of pub. I don't know if you're just playing a lot of gigs. You're certainly not, X-Prime exposure at this point, but I'm worried about guys that play that many shows in their hometown that often. So what are you doing to get your name out there? Because it seems to be working. And Stereo Sunrise seems to be popping up everywhere for me.
I don't know. You're just in the right place, I guess.
Yeah.
Say yes to every
magic. Yeah.
Yeah, we like to play. Everything's experience at this time, right? So.
Right. So you're not putting out anything that's been released before on this new album, then?
We may revisit.
In those walls?
We may revisit a song or two, but it'll be mostly new material.
Where are you recording your stuff?
We'll be recording... I think we'll be recording the drums with Siegfried Meyer at his place, Beach Road Studios. He's, I don't know, like the best, the best guy. Like he's like a German guy. He's from Germany.
Yeah.
Came here, started his own studio.
Built a barn.
And where is it?
Godridge, Ontario.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Been going there for the last 2 albums.
Nice.
Yeah.
Live gigs? Anything coming up we need to be aware of?
What are we doing? Yeah. We're playing
Tavern.
Yeah. January 12th.
Legendary venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be playing with Barbarossa and Eli and the Strawman. So.
Wow.
Good
Those
bill.
guys are both bands. Barbarossa, Eli.
Great people.
Now, Eli hasn't... Did they tour? Not too far. What is with you guys in multiple bands, too? I mean, X-Prime came in one time. I remember they were talking about doing solo projects. That will be the death of your band. You're not allowed to do solo projects. Tell me you guys... Well, you got a solo... You got another gig. I know that, the drummer.
I do a whole bunch of stuff.
It does slow things down for the main band, but what are you going to do, right? I know Justin and I are starting something. Me and Justin and I are going to be starting something on the side. Ari is stripping now, I think.
Male model.
I think so.
Stripping, male modeling.
A few part-time jobs,
Your other band.
Oh,
what are they doing?
Advancing Low Lives.
Advancing Low Lives,
Bit of a different genre.
Yeah.
Keeps everything
You got
fresh.
a little bit of a screamer at the front of the band, or?
Yeah.
And you still let him be in the band, eh?
Yeah.
He's quite the character, that guy. You guys played the nomination party for the NMAs, I think.
We did.
Or was it Stereo Sunrise? See, now that's why I can't keep the band straight.
Actually, it was the Low Lives, and they were expecting Stereo Sunrise, so that was funny.
So Horseshoe Tavern, January 12th, opening up for who's the Barbarossa, and you guys are opening acts for?
I believe we're opening. I don't think the whole night has been set yet, so I don't know who is headlining, but we'll be opening, I believe.
Now, talk to me about the dynamic of the live music these days. The first show we do here, I got Theater Crisp, which should draw pretty good. Yeah. Like, you guys draw pretty well. You know, if you're playing at Rombi's, you're playing at Chili Pepper, or playing wherever you're playing, people will follow you to see you play. Yeah. Same with Theater Crisp. Yeah. And I put them up at 11 o'clock, and the place is near empty because it seems like the sweet spot is 8:30, 9:30 now.
If you're people out. It's hard to get people out nowadays.
I don't want to leave the house after 8:30 ever. Piero, give me Piero mic there.
No, it's okay. It's a different time now. It's hard to get people out. There's Netflix. There's video games. It's just a different world.
Yeah, it is a different world, and you and I come from a world that's maybe a little bit different than these youngsters over here. But back in the day,
World War I,
my friends that were in bands used to go out to see other bands play all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing I love about the NMAs, the Niagara Music Awards, is you actually see guys getting out to see other bands for the first, and they're like, "Hey, we're gigging all the time. We don't have time to go out and watch these bands." So it's a good time for people to go out and see some bands, but that's just not the thing anymore.
No,
and it's,
not at all.
It doesn't matter who. I mean, unless you're a Blue Rodeo or one of those, those bands that had a big name back in the day and coming back to play a small venue. I'm not sure, but what do you think the secret is around getting people actually to come out these days? That doesn't matter for cover, although we do resent paying cover, eh? So much in this town. The kids pay $5 like that any day to get into the Pepper with no trouble, but you get your mansion house $5 for a local band. You're like, I don't know, I'm not paying $5. What the hell? I come here all the time.
Well, the difference now is the internet, right? 10, 15 years ago, the internet wasn't nearly as good. You had kids that didn't know what to do, going out finding a show, right? Packing a place for a local band they'd never heard of. Now people sit on their couch playing video games and open YouTube to whatever is convenient for them, right?
So that's the
comfort of their house.
You don't have to.
And it's killed.
Well, how many people you got online right now?
4,000.
See, they're all
Stereo Sunrise.
People want to sit on their couch and they don't want to go adventuring anymore.
Yeah, I can see that working. So, guys, thank you so much for coming out today. I know that you guys got to get ready for your next gig at 6 o'clock here. We do have some Chinese food out there. And we got another politician that just strolled into the house, so we're gonna bring him up soon. You guys want to play us a tune on the way out, or you got one in you, or I can bring Mike Britton straight up if you want.
Nobody left.
Oh, nobody left.
Sure. All right, Stereo Sunrise going to play one
Jim.
more. No problem. I appreciate your time, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't eat too much. I still got some more politicians got to feed. No, just one more. Mike Britton. Mike Britton's going to come up right after this song. He is an elected municipal councillor from St. Catharines. Thanks for making the trip, Mike. I know you're running a little bit late. We were miscommunicated on the actual times probably. So Mike Britton, junior councillor from St. Catharines, will come up next, and we'll talk a little bit about politics in St. Catharines right after a couple more. Hey, you want to play? What are you playing? 1, 2? Just so I know when to come back. Okay, one more. And then check out Stereo Sunrise back here for a full set at 6 o'clock. I'm Jim Fannin.
Just now? Just now.
It's not a cover.
There's nobody left to call and stay on the phone with and talk about what's new. There's nobody left to care for your heart to open. Sold it all to you. 'Cause there's a way to rest and there's a way to try. So nothing we can do. It's a big mistake if it all gets erased. Sold all of you down the river while we drown. There's nobody left to call and stay on the phone with. Patience left for you. There's nobody left to care for your heart to open. Sold it all to you. 'Cause it's a way to rest and it's a way to try. So nothing we can do. And it's a big mistake if it all gets erased. Sold all of you down the river while we drown. 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 They're calling on the ones to step forward. Well, everybody knows it's never quite like this. Everybody ends up in the life they live. There's nobody left to call and stay on the phone with. try. There's nothing we can do, and it's a big mistake if it all gets erased. Sold all of you out, 'cause it's a way to rest and it's a way to try. There's nothing we can do. It's a big mistake if it all gets erased. Sold all of you down the river while we drown. 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 The river while we drown.
Yeah, you're welcome. I thank you, man. You guys studs, all of you. Musically and physically and emotionally and mentally and
They're drunk.
spiritually, you're studs. I know you're all good church-going guys. You came straight from church, right?
Yeah.
Just singing in the choir. I'm Jim Fann, and we're live from Sessions on the River. Thanks to Chris Curry, owner and operator here at Sessions on the River. He's running the board, hopefully making us sound pretty decent. Paul Brady is, in addition to having a golden voice, is also in charge of focusing some of these cameras here. There's one over here, there's one over here, there's one up there. There's a lot of switching going on. So he's been running some video switching back there. Which reminds me, I got to get out. I'm video director tomorrow at church. I got to be at church for 7:30 tomorrow, 7:15. So I got to get out of here in short order. Mike Britton, thanks for coming out, man. Take a seat right here beside me and let's talk some St. Catharines politics. Mike Britton is our next guest. Thanks for coming in, Mike. I know you're running a little bit late. We didn't really make a good communication around that. So
yeah,
pull that microphone straight up to you there, bro. Thanks for making the effort. I really appreciate that, especially after you committed to saying yes, unlike Sandy and Nunziata, who just stiffed. And then said, oh, sorry, next time I'll have exclusive. You know what? There's no fucking next time for you, Sandy, you piece of work. Anyways, Mike, thanks for coming out. Man, what a week for politics in Niagara. Get right up on that microphone.
For sure.
Don't be scared. All right. Oh, man, I don't know where to start. First of all, wow, we get the province that pulls a fast one.
Yeah.
Unexpected. I heard the local media refer to it as we're blindsided. I don't know about that, but okay. Maybe it sells some papers.
They like that word, blindsided.
Yeah. Coming down with a mandate that all chairs shall be elected. Mm-hmm. What's your take on elected chair?
So, yeah, that was a tough one. I remember before I was elected, I went in to talk to, do you remember Keithio from the Chamber of Commerce?
I do.
Back when he was actually policy director, I went in to talk to him about dual representation. That was something that I actually made a part of my platform when I ran for council. And we got talking about directly elected chair. And I said to him, you know what, I got mixed feelings on it. I see some of the benefits. I like direct democracy. I like that. But I said, what about bringing money into politics? And I'll never forget, Keith, you looked me in the eyes, he put his hand on my shoulder and went, Mike, the money's already in politics. Like, who are you kidding, right? And it was a fair point. You know, there is money in politics. And so I was like, okay. So that was kind of the big negative for me. So I like to lean on the side of direct democracy, to be honest.
You mean there's money in politics, so when you get elected, people put money in your bank account. Is that what you're talking about?
Not directly, that kind of stuff yet. I can.
So I guess your concern is you're talking about, well, for me,
mm-hmm.
There are some who have touted this direct democracy tool as electing a chair. In one hand, they have that sales job, and on the other hand, they're screaming about how we're overgoverned.
Yeah.
And how there's too many positions in Niagara, there's too many political positions. So in effect, this coming down from the province means that we have another election, because chair is not a separate election right now. It's chosen by the people of the elected council. They choose their leader, then somebody else comes up. So we don't have this additional tier. So we're actually adding a pretty significant additional tier. And we have a couple things very unique about Niagara. One, our smallest community is pretty small, and compared to our largest community is rather large. So there's some discrepancies there, and our region is pretty large. So for someone to run at large in the region, could be significant money. And Gary talked about $500,000. I don't know if it's that much, but we see, the mayor's limit at 80. That's only for one little town or city, or depending on the, and then if we got an elected chair, we could be looking at a significant campaign expense. We could be looking at only electing people from the big towns. Mm-hmm. We could also be looking at only electing influential, wealthy people, connected people, or people that know how to raise money. I'm not sure any of which works really well in politics. We have it now. Yeah. The money's there. We have connected people. That's how you get elected. And there's something to be said about knowing how to get elected. Mm. I don't care how you got there. If you got elected, you did it once. Right. That's the best man for the job, because if you can't get yourself elected, then you can't be my counselor. Right. So not that we'd ever have to worry about that. So to me, it adds a whole different conversation to it. So
just to feed off a couple of your points, you mentioned a few, was the cost. The mayor, you said they spent about $80,000. I think Walter went up to about $90,000.
Well, I spent zero. I did run for mayor.
But the current mayor, I guess, spent almost $90,000, I think, and so that's a substantial amount of money. And you're right. So if this does become $500,000 or whatever it is, region wide, or whatever the sped limit ends up being, that is $500,000 that isn't being spent in the local economy. That's $500,000 that if people are donating to a political cause, which they will, they're no longer donating to charitable causes. I actually, last year when I was fighting against the increase in the in the budget, in the tax increase last year, I spoke with Alex DeGenis of Headley Honda, and he said every penny that I have to spend more on taxes is pennies less that I can donate to charitable causes. And we all know Alex DeGenis is one of the biggest donators and biggest cheerleaders to many causes around Niagara. And so that's one thing that worries me, is that if we're spending money more on politics, look at the American government. Was it $1 billion on the Clinton campaign? That's insane.
That puts a lot of people in houses and food.
That's the one point that you mentioned. It's also the idea of getting yourself elected. I agree with that. For me, when I ran, I was a nobody. I didn't have those connections. I wasn't really on the in. I spent around $5,000 for my election. I bankrolled it myself. What I ended up doing is I put $5,000 right in the bank. I knew it was going to spend about that of my own money. And then I ended up doing a few fundraisers afterwards. I'll admit, it's all online. You can see who donated to me and all that. But so I put my own money in first, and then I just knocked on doors. I knocked on every door in my ward, I think 2 or 3 times. It was hard work, but that's how I went from essentially nobody knowing me to being the top vote getter in my ward of 8 participants. And so you can't do that through the whole region. There's no way. If you've ever seen what Niagara West looks like, just the recent election out there, it's huge. It takes you an hour, to drive from the south side to the north side. With the nomination over there, you were asking some people in Caister Centre to drive 40 minutes to go vote for someone that they didn't know, and that's why we saw such a low voter turnout. So that's the other thing, that hard work, I don't know if it would pay off as much in a directly elected regional chair vote. It would be a lot of money. How many billboards can you get around the region or something like that? I don't know.
And we talked about the double direct. I think Rogan put it nicely just in his last podcast. I'm really fond of this guy's podcast. I only looked at it because I wanted to see, how, if you're doing it, how you do it right. Mm-hmm. He said, this is a function of food being plentiful. We get nothing else to worry about. Mm-hmm. And so we bring double direct, and we bring in One Niagara, and we're bringing all these issues while people are in the streets and suffering massive job losses and talent leaving our area, our youth leaving our area. Hey, I'm the first one to get on Niagara's jock and say this is one of the best places in the world to live. We have one of the best qualities of life. We have a nice, clean environment. I know we're still in Ontario, the air stinks, but we've got a quality of life that's unsurpassed. I mean, I haven't been everywhere, but, my last guest came up. I says, when's the last time somebody honked their horn? Honked their horn at you in Niagara. When somebody honks their horn, you're like, what This is not Toronto.
Right.
This is not New York City. We have a quality of life that's unsurpassed. In every campaign I've run in the last 10 years, I've talked about the undervalued real estate. Now it's not so undervalued. We're seeing our values come up because we understand that a 1 hour radius from Toronto, again, property values are great. Quality of life is not like Toronto. We don't have the waiting in the lines and the short tempers and the traffic jams. And well, somebody needs to get on the regional traffic engineer, because of a city this size, at 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, I should be able to drive clear straight through to the QEW, not be backed up from downtown to the QEW on Ontario and Lake. And come on, man, we can move cars around better in this region. That's the next thing I'll get on my soapbox about. But Mike, tell me a little bit about Double Direct. What's your take on that? Is this? Do you feel like the same way I do? Like, this is, hey, it's got to pass a triple majority. Mm-hmm. These things are very difficult to sell to the smaller communities, and that's my argument about having a governance talk about One Niagara. Right. Our small communities never pass a triple majority, so don't bring that shit over here, because we'll waste 2 terms talking about it while our people go hungry and homeless on the street. Not a great portion of them, but we have some serious issues that aren't getting attention while we fritter with Double Direct. That's my take. What's your take on
So I'm going to take a bit of a different take on this one. We do, I think, disagree a bit on this, that I agree that One Niagara would be very tough to get through. And you're right, that is triple majority, unlikely. Dual Direct, I think, is more likely because it's more focused just on St. Catharines, and so the other communities are more likely. I can't speak for them, but to say, well, it's not affecting us, so go for it. That's from what I've heard from talking from some of the other mayors from the 12 municipalities. I am in favor of Dual Direct. As I mentioned, I did run on it. I thought that was a useful issue. But I will clarify, a lot of people, and I think yourself said this as well, is that people don't care about governance. They don't care. It's a non-issue. And I will tell you 100%, when I knocked on doors, nobody came up to me. I will admit that. Nobody came up to me and went, I want to talk to you about Double Direct. This is my favorite topic, and I want to talk to you. I agree. So that is true.
Thank you for your honesty and frankness.
But, and here's where I'll caveat it, I went to them. And I said, this is something that I think would be useful. This is dual representation. I would explain it to them. Very obviously, got to get your stump speech down to 15 seconds. But, I said, this is what it is. It's less politicians, which is what people like. I talk about some of the other benefits that you hear, communication, efficiency, all that jazz. In my ward in particular, I talk about how Welland Avenue was ripped up once by the city, again by the region, again by the city. It was just a disaster. And so I said, those things are less likely to happen if there were dual representation, and because you'd have the people on the same public works committee at the region as at the city and things of that nature, and so that would save tax dollars. So it's not just the salaries you're saving, it's the efficiencies that you're saving. And once I explain it to you, I will also say that 100% of the people that would let me explain it to them were in favor of it. So you're right, people weren't knocking down my door to talk to me about it, but once I explained it to them, they were in favor of it. So that's how I'll caveat, I guess, that no, it's not the most important issue. It's not people starving in the streets. But I would also say that there's not one issue on every agenda at council. It's not that we only need to talk about one thing. You're right that this is getting probably more press than it should with all these deferrals recently. And
well, isn't it an indication of the lack of political will?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep talking, and this is not something that the people want. And the Chamber of Commerce keeps coming and making presentations. And, well, we saw what happened at the region to Mishka Balsam. Wasn't cool. But George Dart has been there, too. Yeah. Really not impressed with the way Mayor Senzik came out in response to George Dart's very innocent, passionate, respectful request for honest debate on this. And then Mayor Senzik comes on inside of 10 minutes and calls him ignorant or confused 10, 12 times. And come on, man. You can't treat a man like George Dart, honest, well, I don't know how honest, good guy, businessman, a very loyal volunteer,
a good
politically
supporter,
engaged, connected, and here he's standing for something he believes in, and you get the mayor treating him like an adolescent, telling him he's ignorant and confused. He's not. He's more plugged in. He knows more about Dual Direct than almost anyone. Mm-hmm. But he wants the the municipality to be engaged at a level that he hasn't seen yet.
Yeah.
And I just think it's disrespectful for Mayor Sendzik to come out and, hey, I give Walter props where props are due. Number one, you nailed pearl gloves. You look like a professional boxer. I'll give you that. I even like the way he tried to sneak through the the double direct with Matt Harris, taking away from Kelly Edgar his democratically somewhat elected position to fill Chair Castlin's role, because I just said, okay, we've done this before.
Right.
Anytime you see a guy with that political inexperience show that savvy, in other words, you know what, province, just give us a waiver on this. Let us try it out. I'm like, that's genius. It's
I don't
beautiful.
know if it would be savvy because it wasn't successful, but go on.
Well, it was a good attempt. And the only reason, and I'm not a dual direct guy.
Yeah.
I don't want that to. Well, I haven't had anyone, and I will say, a good salesman can sell the positives of everything, but I can make a list of negatives. Sure. You know, I could go to the door and convince those same people that dual direct isn't going to change their lives or make the government more efficient. And you may have a take, an unproven take, and I might have some unproven takes that support both sides. But when Mayor Sendzik brought that dual direct as just give us a waiver, let us try it out, I thought it was genius from the standpoint that, one, I don't see how it makes my life better or governance any better, but I love when you can take some sovereignty back from the mother corp, the province, that keeps downloading shit on us and keeps telling us what to do and how to elect our politicians and how much money to spend and where we can sit and what the conflict of... I mean, the Municipal Act is in dire need of an overhaul.
100%.
And they're looking at that. And I get it. But, you know, don't surprise me with directly elected chairs. How about recall? How about term limits? Hey, we've got guys at City Council, you know, they've been there 3 decades.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that's a whole bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to bring Obama back for another term. I think a lot of people in the States would. So I'm not sure. I see the benefits, and I see, you know, how term limits can hurt you too, because every time you have a new cycle of newbies come into the system, they have to get up to speed. They don't know the portfolio of the cabinet positions that they're going to be installed into, so they have to learn all over. And we have some institutional memory of some people that have been there a long time. That's gone.
Right.
So, you know, there's pros and cons to both of it. Well, I will give Walter some props for let's try and take back some of our power from the province. And I don't think they're so willing to do that for us, but any chance we get to take it back, then I think that's an opportunity we should get on. But
yeah. Well, just on your note of term limits, you're right. I think that far more people have been pushing for term limits than directly elected regional chairs. So for the province to come down and hit one and not the other, you're 100% right on that.
And recall. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the region that would like to recall their vote now from, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 10 guys. I don't know.
The other point you mentioned about term limits, so I'm the youngest councillor in St. Catharines, and I sit beside Councillor Kushner, who's been there he's been on council longer than I've been alive, which is just kind of a fun fact I like to point out to him every once in a while and rib. I think he's reached 40 years, I'm pretty sure. He might be the longest.
Poppy?
Yeah, he might be the longest in Ontario or Canada even. So he's been a long time. Now that's to say he's got a wealth of experience as well. Dr. No.
Yeah. Okay, so and great guy. He's got a long institutional memory.
Yeah.
And he can say, hey, I remember in the 1940s when this thing came through and we said no to it then, and we're going to say no to it now.
Yeah.
But how desirable is new blood over that institutional memory? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think there definitely is a usefulness for new blood. So the term limits is something I haven't had to have a decide on. We haven't been asked yet. I haven't, dug into it. I think there's a lot of benefits. If I had to pick a decision right now, I'd probably be on the side of term limits. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because the point of new blood.
Counselor that says I don't know. There's nothing wrong with
the point of new blood. We can look at the Niagara West election. 19-year-old Samuel Oosterhoff was just elected as MPP for there. So that's new blood. Is that going to be useful new blood? I don't know. We'll see. So there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, well, it certainly takes something to knock off the president of the PC Association. Wow, 19 years old. Yeah, Sam has got his work cut out for him. He's going to be on a steep learning curve, and I met him. I was at the only debate.
Okay.
Where the Chamber of Commerce had a debate. Apparently, only invited a certain amount of candidates, and I had a friend of mine that was running and said, if you don't invite the rest of the candidates, we'll see you in court tomorrow. So they invited all the candidates. That's not the same way it went with all the media organizations. No. They had 3 or 4 people come on to the show and talk about politics, but he answered all the questions right, man. He's no idiot, 19 years old. And I know he comes from a religious background, and everyone wants to harp on his we're not revisiting the abortion debate. So I don't know why people keep asking him about right to life or whatever. I mean, and this goes back to the Petrosky conversation. I don't need to get into it, but he did stiff today. He said he was going to come on, and then that's twice he said no, he wasn't going to come on.
But to that point, though, I missed the debate. Unfortunately, I actually was at City Council that night. I was planning on coming, but I got to go to council. But no, I heard he held his own. That he did very well.
Well, the guy that won the debate was the guy from the None of the Above party, but he's got you can't even touch him for knowledge. And
so it's kind of like you and the mayor debates, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because Greg Vesna ran from the None of the Above party. Sam came up to him after the debate and says, "I don't know why they're all coming up to me and talking to me. You're the one that had all the answers on the yeah, because he did have all the answers." So. There is there's something to be said about fresh blood. He's only there for 18 months until he gets reelected again, if that's what happens. Rick Dijkstra obviously underestimated the power of the church and social conservatives and the backlash against Brown. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but especially Rick. And it's funny because you weren't here for this, but that night was my first show here at Sessions on the River, and Greg was sitting in that chair when I told him, "Hey, this kid's connected, Dijkstra. He did a great job inside of Harper's government. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Rick personally, but not a fan of his politics. We've debated how many times on the same stage together. Our differences are well known, but he's put himself in the right place. He's obviously had good advisors around him, and you don't go anywhere without." Look at Justin Trudeau, for crying out loud. The guy can't hold a conversation. Obviously, he's got smart people around him. He gets himself elected.
He's getting better. Less ominous.
Get him off street. Get him off script, and he's a dum-dum. He's just boom, 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 boom. He's just a bimbo. No offense to bimbos. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Mike Britton is my guest. 5:45 already. Stereo Sunrise is coming up at 6 o'clock. We're going to jam out and have some more fun. Mike, we talked about a lot of things.
We did.
What do you want to talk about? Come up hard on that mic.
Yeah. Oh man. I just just some things coming up in the community tonight. Actually, after this, I'm going to a fundraiser. It's a story. I don't know if you heard about a young boy, Ryan. He got a spider bite, and it got so infected that he lost his arms, really unfortunately. And here in Niagara, I don't know where the whole story. I heard about it bits and pieces from secondhand. But they have a fundraiser tonight at the Armenian Community Center, so I'm heading there after this.
Martindale Road.
Yeah, Martindale Road.
Open to the public.
It is open to the public, and so I'm going to stop in there for a bit. And then I'm watching a Leafs game with my friends. So that's not you're not invited to that. I'm sorry about that one. That one isn't open to the public, everybody. But
I am not a Leafs fan. That's Flyer fan, baby. Philly all the way. But NFL before NHL.
Tomorrow that we have. Well, you mentioned church. You're doing the sound stuff. I'm on parking committee. So I'm on parking
video director.
Or video
way
director.
Way up there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't do the parking lot stuff.
So yeah, I'm on parking crew. I'm gonna freeze a little bit. But
Rock and roll pretty church, man. Like I never was a religious guy. I grew up Catholic. There's no religion in Catholicism, but I swear I walked into that church. I'm like, dude, they got padded seats. I don't have to put my finger in the bowl and splash dirty water on my face. And the preachers and I call him Bill. He's like Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Bill.
And he brings it back to scripture very softly. My dad used to call those guys like Bible thumpers. They beat you over the head, and they're heartless recruiters and blah blah blah. Yeah, they changed a lot.
Well, it's interesting. Central Community Church is actually under the Pentecostal, really like hardcore evangelical denomination, right? And that is not at all what it is. Now, I actually, interestingly, I was baptized at St. Paul Street, Silver Spire, before it was Silver Spire, but I came to Central Gospel when I was about 4 or 5. I went
Central
to Sunday
Community.
School.
It's not Gospel anymore.
Well, Central Community.
We used to run from the Central Gospel.
But I went to Central Gospel when I was 4 or 5. I went to Sunday school there. Okay. I had people like Captain Bob as my Sunday school teacher and things like that. I don't know who that is, thank God. And it was great. And I got away from the church a bit in university, but then I came back and
everyone goes crazy in the university years.
But I came back. Well, I went to Western, so I was not in the city, right?
Go Stanks.
But I came back. I shouldn't say that too loudly in Niagara, but I came back and I came to the church and I got involved. As I said, I'm ushering. I do parking committee. I love that.
Well, you got to be involved at the church if you want to be reelected. Everyone knows that.
No, I really like. I've started going to young adults as well. It's really
you are a
amazing.
Young adult, eh?
Yeah, I know.
I
right?
can't pass for that anymore. You won't take it. I don't pass for 17. I'm Jim Fannin. This is Mike Britton. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. I was giving you giving you hell on Facebook earlier. I'm like, dude. Oh yeah, there's no CRTC out here and no Bell Media to tell me you can't talk about Marineland. You can't talk about those beautiful whales that are slammed in jail and dying and they're anyways. Hey Marineland, send me a cease and desist. I'll get on your list. Just don't sue me for $1.5 million like you do with Mike Garrett. Mike, I really appreciate your time. Hey, what are you guys going to do? You're sitting here all night, head up your ass. Or are you going to play some tunes? Stereo Sunrise. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We have a separate link, and we're cutting out a little bit early. You get 10 minutes if you want to campaign a little bit more. You want to stump speech or do anything? Sessions on the River is our location. We're going to take a short break and come back with a live show, a 1-hour live show of straight, no interruptions, no talk show, no bullshit from Jimmy Fannin until after. When we'll get him up here, we'll have a short conversation with him again, and then. Chris, who's coming up next here tonight? I should know this already. I should not be so remiss on promoting. Laura Palumbo. Here right now. Oh, yes. Hi, Laura. I can see you. She's my new Facebook friend. Oh, she's hot, too. November 19th, Laura Palumbo's coming up in 2 hours and 37 minutes right after Stereo Sunrise, which starts in 7 minutes and 52 seconds. You guys better pick up there. And then, after Laura, Rose Cora Perry, The Untold Truth. This looks really cool. Way to go. Chris Curry is the program director here at Sessions on the River. Owner-operator. I am Jim Fannin. I'm just coming in as a host. And at this point in time, I think we'll say goodbye for now. Mike, thanks for your time again. Appreciate it. I'm Jim Fannin. Get your ass down to Sessions on the River and catch Stereo Sunrise live. And then Laura Palumbo at, 2 hours and 37 seconds. 2 hours, 37 minutes. And then, what are the times? 8:30? I don't know. Just get down to Sessions on the River. I'm Jim Fannin. I'm out. Mikey, that didn't go so bad. That's okay. Thank you, bro. Talk about that stuff. Yeah, it's all good. Like the shy away from stuff. Is that the set list? Look at it. It's like, hey.